Barker, your wonderful, affable, lovable, cuddly host, here and ready to broadcast on this day with you. Wonderful, affable, lovable, cuddly host, here and ready to broadcast on this day with you. And all of the streaming services that I have going right now, which are Vocal, Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, and D-Live. D-Live is an old school one that we used to do when I was back in the old setup on the breakdown, but that was, we're on D-Live as well. So all of those windows were at the time unmuted. So you were hearing both me and that in the background. So I apologize for any of the mishaps there. Anyway, welcome to the Aaron Barker Show. It is Saturday. It is time to get into all of the news from this week and from the weeks to come. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. Very excited to be with you. And don't forget, you can go over to aaronbarker.substack.com. And whilst there at the substack.com, you can subscribe to the show. And that will allow you to get all of the updates throughout the week, all of the clips, all of the videos, all the archives of the show are going to be documented and put over there so you can join that. Also, you can go to vocal.com and search for @RealAaronBarker, and that will allow us as well to stay connected there. Hopefully everybody's doing great. I hope everybody is having a great week and you're looking forward to the beautiful day. Hello, Gifted, over in chat. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, is there an echo now still, Gifted? Just give me a heads up in the chat there if there is or is not an echo. Just let me know. And I also did add another filter onto the streaming service, which hopefully will give me a better sound through my microphone. But that's all technical stuff that you all don't have to worry about. It's very sophisticated, very tech-savvy stuff that I had to Google and find out. I mean, internet search. I'm not allowed to say the G word. I hope you have your cups of coffee. I hope you went to mypillow.com and ordered your My Coffee to support the show and Mike Lindell, and also your towels. Now, people are probably wondering why the towels have not been opened yet. I am saving these for a special occasion, okay? And that special occasion is when I decide to shower. It's really rank in the studio right now. Now, there's a special occasion. I'm not going to release what that special occasion is yet, but there's going to be a time when I use those towels, and I have showered since I got those towels. So don't worry about that. I'm sure you were very worried about it. Awesome. Okay, so we have cleared the echo on all of the other platforms. We are good to go there. So if you're joining me on Facebook or on Rumble or D-Live or YouTube or Vocal, don't hesitate to leave a comment. I will be happy to respond to that as I see them or when I can see them. Probably just take some time to do that. Anyway, all right, all that stuff out of the way. Great to have you all here on the show, and we're going to get into it today. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we're going to be talking about ICE and the surveillance. It was never about immigration. It's always been about mass surveillance, which is what governments thrive on. Companies thrive on turning you into a commodity, turning you into a product. That's what these companies do. They find ways to market you. They take you and they turn you into a product. They turn you into a commodity, and they make sure that whatever they do, that whatever you do, they can sell. And they harvest your information. They predict what you're going to say, predict what you're going to think, and then they market you. They push products to you. They force you into buying things subconsciously. And all of that is about surveillance and tracking and tracing and tagging you. And that is a constant threat. And it doesn't matter the administration that you're under. It doesn't matter who is in the White House. At this point, and I would just like to point this out, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. This is just kind of an intro. Trump is the psyop, okay? He is the psyop, and he is the one, he is the voice of what's going on in the deep state, but he's more, as the psyop, Trump is more the magicians, the illusionists who are running the deep state. The illusionists who are controlling you by the actions and words and laws that they are putting forth in by memorandums and executive orders. The puppet masters, the illusionists, are doing a massive trick on you. And all the while, you're watching this hand here. Look at this hand. Don't take your eye off this hand. Don't take your eye off this hand. But the left hand is doing all of the nasty, dirty work. So Trump is the mouthpiece. He's talking. He's the one that's gaining all of the attention. I was thinking for the past 10 years, Trump has dominated the press, politics, churches, sermon series, Facebook posts, social media posts, videos. He has been the number one talked about person in the past decade. Now, you all out there are like, well, that's awesome because he's our guy. He's the man. No, he is the one who has captured all of the attention. And he's just narcissistic enough to pull all of that attention away from everything else that's going on so that your focus is not on the surveillance that's continuing to happen, the constitutional rights that are being taken away, the freedom of speech that is being stripped, the people that are being disappeared and sent to Alligator Alcatraz, the U.S. citizens who are being wrapped up in raids by ICE in the middle of the night. All of that is happening. But we've got the mouthpiece of Trump just cooing and coddling and making people feel better because he is saying, well, it's all about safety. It's all about law and order. It's all about protection. It's all about keeping you safe, right? Hold on for me just a second. I just realized something. I will be back in just a second. I know I'm not the only one who does this. I'm sure I'm not. You know how you sometimes you just have music playing in the background, or while you sleep you have an audiobook on or music on or some kind of ambient sound or something like that. Well, where I sit here in my studio, directly through, I have two monitors here, directly through those two monitors, or like directly in the space between those two monitors, there's a TV mounted on the other wall. And when I come down here to work, I turn that TV on. And typically, I have it on like classic nostalgic cartoons, Sonic the Hedgehog, because there's a channel that plays 24/7 Sonic Hedgehog stuff, and it's Sonic the Hedgehog series, Sonic and Tails, and Sonic Underground, and that's nostalgic for me. It came out in like the mid to late 90s, but my kids watched it growing up. They watched Sonic Underground. So hearing Sonic Underground, seeing Sonic on the TV, that's nostalgic for me, not only for my own childhood, but that's also nostalgic for my kids' childhood. Well, right now I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1987 cartoon playing, and because it's also on a 24 stream on Amazon Prime. So you can turn it on and at any time throughout the 10 seasons of the Ninja Turtle cartoon. There's always an episode playing, and they do have commercials, but it's always playing over there. And it's like a comfort to me. It's ambient to me. I look over and I see the DV on. It's like an episode of Ninja Turtles, and I see Shredder and Krang and the Turtles and Splinter and April and all of that, and it's comforting for me. Well, what I turned it on this morning when I came down, but I forgot to mute it. So I'm like talking about Trump being the narcissist who is the psyop against the United States of America, and in the background I hear Shredder, we have to kill those turtles, and I'm like, well, I got to mute that because although it's kind of it goes along with what we're talking about. However, okay, now so that's part of it. We're going to get to talking about a little bit of that. and just a little bit more of that regarding the PSYOP that Donald Trump is and what he's doing to take away our constitutional rights. What I want to start out with today, though, is something that's very near and dear to me. There have been a few things, and if you've listened to the show for a while, you've seen there's been some changes not only in my political beliefs, and that's been happening over the past 10 years or so, but also some changes in my personal spiritual beliefs and my personal faith journey. There's been all kinds of changes. And I'm navigating those. I'm learning how to navigate those and how to talk through those and think through those and consider those different things. And it's all, I'm doing it all, and I'm reassessing things that I've learned, things that I've believed, things that I've approached. Now, there are certain things that I will never give up regarding my personal opinions on those. 9/11 was an inside job that was perpetrated by us, perpetrated against the United States of America. It was 9/11 was an inside job perpetrated against the citizens of the United States of America by criminal elements within our government. They knowingly allowed those attacks to happen, and then they assisted in making sure that the buildings fell. I believe that with all of my heart, 100%. From a physical standpoint, an architectural standpoint, a conspiratorial standpoint, all of it points to the fact that there was more there than just airplanes hitting buildings. World Trade Center 7 is the key, by the way. I believe that the 2020 election was stolen. I believe that that was stolen from Donald Trump. Now, would I have, wanted him to be president then? Well, he wouldn't be president now. We'd be done with him essentially. But the election in 2020 was stolen. I believe that the election in 2016, that there was so much election fraud and so many issues with that. I don't think that the Democrats planned for there to be such a groundswell of support behind Donald Trump in that election, and they didn't plan on it, so they didn't have enough fake ballots and enough fake votes cast, and it shocked him. It took him off guard. There was probably also some corruption on the Republican side as well. But I believe that the 2016 and the 2020 elections were stolen. I do not believe that January 6th was an insurrection. All right, and I've said this. I think I've said this every week since I've been back on the air. But I think that it is a horrible travesty of justice, the way that people rotted in prison and in jails without due process. And another thing that I'm very passionate about is geoengineering. If I were to pull up my phone right now, I would not doubt at least in all of my digital archives and all of my cloud storage on my telephone, on my computer, all over the place for the past 20 years. What year are we in? 26? Yeah, for the past 19, 20 years, thousands of pictures that detail the assault, the chemical assault that's happening against the American people in our skies. And you can't walk out wherever you are, and it happens all around the world. It's not just the United States, but all around the world, there's a chemical assault that's happening against us, and it's being done in the skies. Now, I have a very astute, very intelligent audience who's very well aware and very well informed. So I don't need to spend a huge amount of time in the basics, like the introduction to what chemtrails are. But I do want to educate, because I know that there are people out there who are listening to the show that are newcomers. They're beginners to all of this, because they're starting to wake up. It took Donald Trump being president, and it took Joe Biden being president, and it took the COVID fiasco and the shamdemic and the fake vaccines and the injections that were forced on people for folks to wake up. Now, what the deep state meant for evil, God is using for good, and it's waking people up. And we're starting to realize that there is more happening than what meets the eye. The Decepticons are running things, and the Transformers are literally transforming from sheeple, from disempowered pukes, to strong, intelligent, critically thinking and questioning citizens of the United States, which is what we need. That's what we want. We want independent, critical thinkers, and that's what these things have done. So I know I have people that are listening to the show, newcomers that are like that, and I welcome you. I welcome your disagreements. I welcome your agreements. I welcome your comments, your questions, your conundrums, your snarks, everything. Let's have a conversation to talk about this. So since there are new people out there, we will be talking like an intro about the chemtrails here in just a minute. But I do want to talk, and I want to play a video, and it's an older video. But I want to play this video because Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been working towards MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. And he was asked a question earlier this year. This was before he was confirmed. And he was asked a question on the Dr. Phil show. And I want to play this question for you because it happened on Dr. Phil McGraw, right? I got tapes on books, books on tapes. The real MVP, Dr. Phil. And somebody from the audience asked this question, and I was extremely impressed by the question that was asked. And then also very impressed by the answer that was given. So here we go. This is RFK Jr. on the Dr. Phil show.
Yes, ma'am.
Senator Kennedy, my name is Emily, and my biggest concern is the stratospheric aerosol injections that are continuously peppered on us every day. Bromium, aluminum, strontium, it's sprayed in our skies all day long. And I know you've talked to Dane Wigington about this. He seems to be one of the experts in the field.
Is there a question?
Yes. How do we stop it?
That is not happening in my agency. You know, we don't do that. It's done, we think, by DARPA, and a lot of it now is coming out of the jet fuel.
Yes,
so,
sir.
you know, those materials are put in jet fuel. I'm going to do everything in my power to stop it. We're bringing on somebody who's going to think only about that, find out who's doing it, and holding them accountable.
Yes, sir.
Hey, sir, my name.
That's excellent. First off, the education that was coming from her, the knowledge that she possessed of what was being sprayed in the skies, the knowledge that she had as well. The knowledge that she had as well of Dane Wigington. Dane Wigington, if you don't know, geoengineeringwatch.org. I actually interviewed Dane years ago, probably about 7 years, 8 years ago, something like that. Full 2.5 hour show with Dane Wigington. Great guy. I've actually got that on the archives, but it was under the Breakdown Freaky Friday edition, I believe. But I dust that off quite often, the education that he drops on folks. And he brings receipts, the great thing about Dane Wigington as well. So if you go to geoengineeringwatch.org, geoengineeringwatch.org, you will have pamphlets and PDFs and information that runs down what's happening in our skies. Anybody can look up in the skies. And that was one of the first things that I noticed, was the ability to be able to look up into the heavens and see that our environment was being assaulted and that we were being chemically assaulted by these jets, by these clouds by these trails of chemicals. And that's why they're called chemtrails. And chemtrails is actually it's a demeaning term. It's like calling somebody a conspiracy theorist or telling somebody they have Trump derangement syndrome. What it does is it discounts that person immediately. It's like calling them fake news. What it does is it takes that person out of credible conversation and places them over here to the side and makes them look stupid. We're going to mock this person. We're going to point at this person and laugh. You believe in chemtrails. And when that woman used the term on Dr. Phil's show, stratospheric aerosol injections, that is impressive. That is someone who is informed. That is someone who is studying. That is someone, I bet you she's a mom. She probably has like 4 kids. She homeschools the kids, probably part of a small group. She bakes her own bread, grows her own food. I mean, I'm sure that her husband is a hardworking man, probably like maybe a carpenter. But I know that they do I'm just assuming this. She probably has their own family farm. They have chickens, maybe some goats and some pigs, but definitely have chickens. And you have these informed, educated people who are using terms like stratospheric aerosol injection, and really what chemtrails are when you break it down, even though and we use the term in modern parlance so people understand what we're talking about. But if you drop a term like stratospheric aerosol injections, that's SAI, stratospheric aerosol injections. Stratosphere, so it's in the skies. Aerosol, which is being sprayed in particulates, and the injection is injected into the environment. But these aircraft are releasing these heavy metal particulates and aerosols, and they're doing it intentionally, and they've been operating and doing this for decades. And the frustrating thing about this, if you look up your regular standard news story regarding chemtrails, they will tell you that this is a conspiracy theory, that this is not happening, that there is nothing to do with chemtrails. And when they use that term, when they say there's no chemtrails, technically what they're trying to say is they create chemtrails, they make a straw man out of that, and then they attack that. And that's a logical fallacy because it's a straw man argument. But there are stratospheric aerosol injections. There is geoengineering going on. There is cloud seeding that is happening. There are particulates being sprayed into the skies. They're part of a covert global climate engineering program, and they're under the guise, they're being used under the guise of trying to mitigate the climate changes, trying to prevent the sun from warming the earth. They're trying to control the weather because he who controls the weather controls the world. They're trying to control and mitigate the weather to prevent what they consider climate change or global warming. That's their cover story. That's the illusionist, right? That's what they're sending their scientists out there to talk about. But when they spray these particulates, they contain conductive metals, and like the woman said in the video, aluminum, barium, strontium. They help enhance radar and communication systems. They create unnatural cloud formations, and you've seen like the grid patterns that they create in the sky, and they manipulate with chemicals, okay? Now, what I want to do also, if you look up PolitiFact, they have an entire article. Now, what they're trying to do, and they've been trying to do this since Robert Kennedy has been confirmed, what they're trying to do is they are making him into a vaccine-denying conspiracy theorist, and anything that they can do to demonize him and to make people stop listening to him or giving him any semblance of credibility. And he has tons of credibility. But what they do, what the mainstream media does, and some alternative media, what they do is they ridicule, because by ridiculing and belittling and demeaning somebody, that prevents you from looking further into it. And it also prevents them from digging deeper into the situation and what's going on around us. So let's do this. In PolitiFact has an article here. RFK Jr.'s chemtrails, quoting fingers, probe shows the power conspiracy theories have to shape health policy. They blame this on a farmer in the 1990s who looked up and decided that there was something wrong with what he was seeing in the sky, which, again, a lot of people do that. He shared his concern with some reporters that sounded like X-Files, and that is what they say became the fringe concept and the catalyst to start the chemtrail movement. But if we look at a memorandum that RFK Jr. released, and this is where it gets crazy, because there are government websites that talk about what is going on in the sky. There are government websites who admit to this happening. There are companies who spend millions upon millions of dollars in cloud seeding. If you remember back earlier this year, there was record levels of flooding that occurred in Texas. And it was acknowledged by the CEO of Rainmaker. He actually admitted to cloud seeding up to the day before the massive floods started happening. Let me pull this up here, because I want to make sure that we're paying attention to what's happening and what they are saying, because they're saying it right in front of our very eyes. They're saying it in front of our very eyes, and all we have to do, folks, is watch and listen. Watch and listen, which you'll do as soon as I get this video posted. Okay, here we go.
The question is whether or not Rainmaker, cloud seeding on July 2nd contributed to storms that occurred on July 4th? Did it enhance? Did it intensify what we saw some 36 to 48 hours later?
Unequivocally, our cloud seeding operations on July 2nd did not impact the flooding that occurred later. And that said, my heart and prayers are still with all of the people of Texas and all the families that have been affected. It was a tragedy. But in cloud seeding on the 2nd, one, we are regulated by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, and we have what are called suspension criteria, where if there are National Weather Service flash flood warnings or severe storm warnings, then we cannot operate in those areas per the restrictions and regulations we have. Our meteorologists actually proactively suspended operations a day before the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning. So we were ahead of the curve.
The question is whether or not Rainmaker,
So they claim
cloud
they claim to be ahead of the curve. They claim to have stopped this before it happened. They claim to have that this has nothing to do with their operations and nothing. The whole purpose, folks, the whole purpose of cloud seeding is to do the very thing that they're denying that they do. So all of their investors that are watching that, oh, well, no, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Well, then stop investing in it, because why are you doing it? If it has nothing to do with the claims that you're making, stop doing it, right? But that's one of the many things. And where did that memo go here? Just a second. I got about 1,000 windows open. Here we go. So it says in a memo that was released by RFK, a memorandum that was released by Gray Delaney, an email looks like, and sent to Cali Means. This was back in July of this year, and the subject was adding weather modification geoengineering to a list of MAHA priorities. Now, this has everything to do with the MAHA priorities, and it does because by spraying these particulates and chemicals and metals in the sky, you're actually making people sicker. You're making people chronically ill. When you look at the explosion of the chronic illness that's happened in the United States over the past 30 years. Now, we have had cloud seeding going on for 50 plus years. But when you look at the amount of chronic illness that has been massive in the past 30 years, the explosion of that, this is all within the same realm of making America healthy again. But the background of this, in this memo, it says cloud seeding, weather modification, solar radiation modification, stratospheric aerosol injection, and all forms of geoengineering should be acknowledged by the MAHA Commission as a MAHA priority. Kennedy has previously stated that his HHS will do its part to end geoengineering and weather modification. He said in a tweet at the time, it says, I think it was X then, but Kennedy says 24 states moved to ban geoengineering. 24 states moved to ban geoengineering our climate by dousing our citizens, our waterways, and landscapes with toxins. This is a movement every MAHA needs to support. HHS will do its part. So he talks about cloud seeding and weather modification. He says here that, as we just watched, that the president, the CEO of Rainmaker, admitted to cloud seeding prior to the floods, but claimed it had nothing to do with the historic floods, even though they only suspended their operations a day before the flash flood warnings. Stephen Jarvis's video questioning the role of weather modification in Texas floods has garnered over 4 million views on X and over 20 million cumulative on all platforms. NOAA's website lists 9 methods that are used to alter the weather, including seeding or dispersing of any substance into clouds or fog to alter or drop size distribution, produce ice crystals or coagulation of droplets, alter the development of hail or lightning, or influence in any way the natural development cycle of clouds or their environment. This is listed on the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's website as weather modification reports and projects. Yet the mainstream media will call you a kook and say you're crazy because you dare question what's being sprayed in our skies. Those are contrails, is what they say. That's bullcrap. It's garbage. NOAA's own website says, which is ironic that it's called NOAA, NOAA, and it's talking about weather modification, which can lead to massive weather disruptions, destruction, and flooding. That's weird. It says, what is weather modification? Any activity performed with the intention of producing artificial changes in the composition, behavior, or dynamics of the atmosphere. What role does NOAA play in weather modification? Companies that intend to engage in weather modification activities within the United States are required by the Weather Modification Act of 1976 to provide a report to the administrator of NOAA at least 10 days prior to undertaking the activity. Those reports are filed via the email address and may be found at the bottom of this page. Does NOAA conduct weather modification or weather modification experiments? NOAA does not research or conduct weather modification experiments and has no plans to do so in the future. That's compartmentalization. They can deny that they're doing it because they're not. And just as we saw RFK a moment ago, RFK said, hey, it's not my department that's doing it, but we're going to find out who's doing it and we're going to put a stop to it. That's compartmentalization. No. The left hand over here, the right hand over here is just yapping. All the while they're saying, no, we don't have anything to do with weather modification. We don't have anything to do with that at all. And then over here, airplanes are flying to the sky, dispersing chemicals over top of us. This is one instance. It is a lie. If you read in the mainstream media that they say that there's no weather modification happening, no chemtrails happening, no stratospheric aerosol injections happening, that it's just a conspiracy theorist, you're a kook, and Robert F. Kennedy as a vaccine denier needs to be fired. That's what they want you to get to. They want you to think what they are telling you to think. They don't think you're going to go to NOAA's website and NOAA's actually going to be like, oh, look at this. Yeah, it does. It does happen. And people have to file with us and let us know about it. But we don't have anything to do with it. We don't. Yeah, because it's other departments within the government that's doing it. You're listening to the Aaron Barker Show. We're live right now on Vocal. If you go to vocal.com, that's www.vocl.com, and search for Real Aaron Barker, you will find me over there. You will also be able to find me today on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, and DLive. And with all of those streaming, there's no reason for you to not to be able to listen to the show or participate. So if you're out there watching the show and you're hanging out with us on Rumble or any of those platforms, please smash that like button like I smash a Twinkie. I haven't had a Twinkie in a long time. It's been a long time since I've had a Twinkie. Smash that like I smash pumpkin spice in the fall. But please share that with people around. Make sure they know the show is on. Make sure they know they can participate in the show, just like you're participating in the show. All right. What else are we going to talk about here? So weather modification is real. It is admitted by the government. It is admitted in white papers. It is being used as a guise for global depopulation and chronic illness, to keep us sick, to keep us dependent on a healthcare system that thrives on you being sick. It thrives on chronic illness. It thrives on your destruction. And that's just another way that we are being impacted by this. Now let's take a look at this video. I want to show this that was mentioned in the the one that got 4 million views. So I want to pull that up real quick, and I'm gonna have to turn it down just a smidge. All right. Takes me a minute to adjust. I appreciate y'all's patience. Everybody's awesome out there. This is a gentleman by the name of Steve Jarvis, and his video garnered 4 million views. And his video is pointing out the weather modification and the clear skies, etc., that active states where the cloud seeding and global geoengineering was happening. And I want to play that here for you whilst talking about this discussion.
Jarvis, do y'all want answers for what happened in Texas? You want answers? I have the answers. And you are going to have to do some research on how to get it. But there's your picture right there of Texas and the big flood. Okay, July 4th. And all those little girls missing, I bless them, bless their families. But I want to tell you, all of this flooding in Texas and Rainmaker has publicly available NOAA docs on their cloud seeding project. Everyone must start this investigation. If you want to know what happened, this is where you start. Everybody's showing all the flooding and everything. I'm giving you the documents, I'm telling you. So what you're going to do, you're going to go to the NOAA library, right? And you got to scroll down to the bottom of the page, but you'll see this is weather and climate collections. So you're going to scroll down to the bottom of that page there, and you're going to type in Texas. And what you're going to find is, you're going to find this, I've highlighted it here. You're going to find, and it'll tell you when they were seeding, okay? Because let's face it, folks, 30 foot of water in an hour at 4 a.m., people didn't have a chance. So when you get down here, what you're going to find out is it'll pull up a page like this, and you pull it up, and then it tells you the companies. Isn't that exciting? You want to know answers? Here's what you need to do. You need to call your governor, call your senator, call Chip Roy. He's a good one to talk to. And if Chip would like to talk to me, I'm right now working with 2 states writing weather modification bills that make it a crime, and it has huge penalties. I went to Washington, D.C., and I spoke and presented my new farm plan to Maha about creating 1 million new farms. You know what was the first thing in my farm plan? Stop weather modification. You know what they wanted me to do? Move it to the bottom or erase it altogether. You know why? Because they don't want you to know. Because weather modification is, I'm bone dry up here. I'm up here in my potato fields, and everybody else is soaking wet. So they can make it too dry or too wet. And I know this is hard to swallow, folks, and it's hard to wrap your head around. But here's what you can do. When it does, it shows West Texas WMA right here. Rain enhancement, hail suppression. It tells you on these documents. It tells you exactly. The company is Rainmaker, and that's who's doing the cloud seeding in that area. What you can do is on all these documents, there's tons and tons of these documents, but it's so much to read and go through here, but you can bring this up. Now listen, there is a Clear Skies movement. Clear Skies movement in Idaho. You need to go to Clear Skies movement and go to that page. Tons of information there. You can go to Missouri Clean Skies. Go to that page there, Facebook page. I need you to start a Clean Skies or Clear Skies movement in your town. Okay, because if you're on these sites, you get all this information that we have, and it tells you and shows you all this stuff. So here's the company right here. If you go to X, you can see Rainmaker Technology Corporation. Go in there and ask them. Go in there and ask them. Were you cloud seeding down there in Texas? Go ask them. Go ask them. And here's the owner right here. Here's his account on X. Augustus Dorico. He's the guy that owns Rainmaker. Why don't y'all message him? Ask him, was he cloud seeding in Texas? I have all the plans to fix all of this. I wrote a farm plan for America. I also have a plan to make this all criminal. And if you have a House representative or a senator or governor that wants to talk to me, I got the plan, and I actually wrote the penalties.
Now, that dude doesn't sound like somebody I want to mess with. I mean, like he's bringing the receipts on that too. And as much as that annoys me when people say that now, it's becoming really popular. People say, "He done brought the receipts," or "He brought the receipt." No, I know it's frustrating, annoying to me when I say that, but literally the guy brings his research and information to you and says, "Now it's up to you." And the great thing, even though Donald Trump, again, the PSYOP is attacking Thomas Massie here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, trying to get him ousted because he's not a bootlicker smarts. He's trying to oust Thomas Massie because he's not a bootlicking fart sniffer, and he wants him gone so that he can get all of his plans rubber stamped. But even Thomas Massie on even Thomas Massie on X posted a picture of the beautiful blue skies here in the Commonwealth and talked about the benefits of not having geoengineering happening during the government shutdown. So, folks, I am passionate about this for many reasons. And actually, this is one of the things that my daughter brought up to me last night. Actually, my daughters have brought this up to me quite a bit, and it's a good transition point right now. Environmentally, I'm not an enviro, I don't want to use disparaging terms. I'm not an extremist when it comes to the environment, but I hate litter. I hate crap on the sides of the road. I hate when people poison our waterways and systems. I used to work at a private Christian retreat. Well, Christian. I used to work at a private retreat, and part of my compensation was that we lived on property. And we had, at the time, Ginger was alive, so we had Ginger. She was our golden retriever. And one of the benefits, this was awesome living out there. One of the benefits was they took care of the grounds as well. This is 640 acres. They took care of the grounds, cut the grass, all that stuff. And ours was part of that as well. So they cut the grass. Well, they also sprayed for weeds. Well, we found out that they were using Roundup. And I went directly to the maintenance director at the time. Great guy, by the way. And I went to him and I asked him about this and talked to a couple of guys there. And they were like, yeah, well, we understand there's a couple of things we can do alternatives, but there's a cost effective to it. So I went to the owner and I was like, look, we have a dog. All right, we obviously don't want the weeds because the weeds bring the ticks, and the ticks bring the possums, and the possums. I mean, you're living in the country; it's going to happen. But we went to him, we're like, hey, this has glyphosate in it, and it's poisonous to our dog. She's out there in the yard all the time, rolling around, running, all that stuff. I don't want her around it. And so what they did was they found a solution online, which is like a literal two. It's like double meaning right here. There was a solution which was an answer to the problem, and a solution which was a mixture of like vinegar and Dawn and some other non-harmful things. And they used that as the weed killer around our house and or around our residence. And I also told him, I was like, now, I greatly appreciate that, but also I would strongly encourage you to find another healthy alternative, because out there on that property, there were about 40 to 45 head of deer. And, you would drive a quarter mile and literally count 20, 30 head. And they were the same ones. We had a couple of bucks that lived out there that we watched them every year. They age and get bigger and bigger. A couple of really big bucks. And that was another, we had a conversation environmentally. Just the whole thing is about environment. But I told him, I was like, when you spray that glyphosate around the property, 640 acres, and when it rains, all of that gets washed into the waterways. And that can poison the waterways for the deer. It can poison the waterways because it flowed right into the creek, and then the creek right into the river. So I'm like, you're everything going from the grass to the waterways, the springs to the creek to the river. I mean, like, we're poisoning the environment altogether with this stuff that has been proven to cause cancer and been proven to harm people and destroy the environment. Didn't get very far with that part, but I did get it around. I stopped it from being sprayed in our immediate area. And then eventually also, as the environmental part of it, just to add this bonus on here because we're talking about this, is the environmental part of it. We also, me and several other people on property, we're talking to the owner about allowing hunting on property, because what would happen is every few years, you would have the population of deer out there. They would be out there because it was safe. Nobody hunted it. And the deer population would burgeon. It would get so large that there would be inbreeding and disease, and then they would just die off. And then you would see 15 head of deer, 20 head of deer, something like that. I believe this is all anecdotal. And so you would see the population of the deer die off. And we were like, look, we need to be able to hunt this to keep it healthy so that it's protected. We're actually protecting the environment through here. So they eventually allowed bow hunting on property, which allowed us to kind of curtail that. I didn't get a chance to get out and hunt, although I wanted to. I lived right next to the woods. I could have walked 50 yards up into the woods and had a deer stand, but I didn't, unfortunately. However, I'm not an environmental wacko. I am somebody that does care about the environment. I don't want to poison God's creation. I believe that it has been given to us, gifted to us by God, and we're supposed to take care of it. And one of the things my daughters have brought up to me, and they're very passionate. Both of them are very artistic. They both want to enter into filmmaking and screenwriting and writing in general. And they've brought up to me AI and how AI is disrupting and destroying our the art culture. You know, it's taking from people, it's stealing from people. Essentially, it's doing a massive internet scrape, and it's stealing information from people, and it's creating these composite drawings or composite animations, and people are taking credit for it. And then you've got the advancements. I can't remember what the name of it is, but I mean, I've seen videos, and we've all seen these. I mean, you obviously can tell they're AI to a certain point, but they're getting so good. I've seen Mr. Rogers and Ed Gein talking to each other. Ed Gein is a guest on Mr. Rogers. Now, I know that's obviously not true. That's not happening, but the AI is becoming such a massive issue. It's growing, and it's creating this movement of people who are making music and art and writing and videos, all based on this AI. And one of the other things about it is AI is destructive for the environment. It is in the whenever you do a query, the amount of queries that you have on the amount of queries that you're getting, or the amount of water that's used for a query that you create is massive. I'm going to share a video here real quick. This is what this is what my youngest daughter sent to me. Bree, you've all seen her on when I did the breakdown. She's been a guest on here before. But Bree sent this to me, and this is what happens when you. I wonder if you can do that here. I don't think you can. Trying to find a way to maximize the screen on TikTok, but I don't think you can. So whenever you use, and this is one of the reasons I brought up the environment, whenever you use AI, the amount of water that it takes for you to be able to create just one query is insane. So let me play this here for you real quick, because oh boy. I hope I'm still broadcasting out there. Chrome just blew up on me. Oh, there it is. There we go. That was the weirdest thing in the world. Everything just like disappeared on me. But let me see if I can window capture. There we go. Sorry about the delay, folks. I just had a bit of an issue there. Let me do this real quick while I'm working on that so you all don't have to take care of this. I want to play this quick commercial for Vocal. Stay with me. I will be right back.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including Lindell TV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to Lindell TV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
All right, folks, thanks for your patience while I took care of that. I'm sorry about that. It was just a technical issue for some reason. But here is a video. This is the environmental impact. Every time that you create a query on AI, here is what happens. Sorry about that. That's very loud. But what happens there is you can see, excuse me, whenever there's a prompt, that water that's pouring out into there just for one prompt on the AI, the amount of water that is used. How much? I'm not going to use AI for it. I'll tell you that. But like, if you simply look at how much water is used for AI. AI uses significant amounts of water primarily for coding data centers, but also for the energy production required to run them and for manufacturing the hardware. Estimates vary, but one study suggests AI in the U.S. could consume as much as 720 billion gallons of water annually by 2028, mostly for server cooling alone. Some individual queries may use less, but the total adds up significantly due to the scale of usage. Now, what's ironic about this is I typed that into Google/DuckDuckGo, and it gave me an AI overview and an AI answer for that. But it says here at the OECD.ai Policy Observatory, that everybody's talking about artificial intelligence. It says large AI models like GPT-3 with many billions of parameters are often trained and deployed on large clusters of servers with multiple graphic processing units. These servers are so power hungry they consume a few kilowatts each, the equivalent of the average power consumption of an entire house. So despite the recent algorithmic and hardware efficiency improvements, AI model training and interference still result in enormous energy consumption. Air pollution and carbon emissions are well-known environmental costs of AI, but a much lesser-known fact is that AI models are also water guzzlers. They consume fresh water in two ways: on-site server cooling and off-site electricity generation. Scope 1, on-site water consumption. AI servers' massive energy consumption generates much heat to dissipate the heat into the outside environment and to avoid server overheating. Data centers commonly use cooling towers and or outside air, which need a staggering amount of clean, fresh water. Cooling towers rely on water evaporation to produce cold water, and outside air needs water for evaporation assistance when it's too hot and for humidity control when it's too dry. Because the high power densities of AI servers on chip liquid cooling may be employed, closed-loop circulating liquid directly moves the heat from the servers to the data center, and then heat moved from the facility will be rejected by cooling towers or outside air, which consumes water. Off-site water consumption, generating electricity, also consumes a lot of water through cooling at thermal power and nuclear plants and expedited water evaporation caused by hydropower plants. Thus, AI is responsible for Scope 2 off-site water consumption. So the question that we have here is the not necessarily the question, but the concern that we have here, and the question that I bring up about this as well, is obviously the water cycle. So you use water evaporates, goes back to the atmosphere, comes back down into rain, goes to fresh water, drops into the sea, etc. And then it's just a constant cycle that's doing that. So my question about this is it consuming so much water that it can't evaporate or go through the cooling process fast enough? That would be a great question to find more information out. So you're looking at, it says here that the two related but different types of water usage are water withdrawal or water abstraction and water consumption, both of which are important for holistically understanding the impacts on water stress and availability. Despite appearances, water consumption is a technical term and differs dramatically from water withdrawal. Water withdrawal refers to fresh water taken from the ground or surface water sources either temporarily or permanently and then used for agriculture, industrial, or municipal uses. On the other hand, water consumption is defined as water withdrawal minus water discharge and means the amount of water evaporated, transpired, incorporated into products or crops or otherwise removed from the immediate water environment. While the evaporated water still stays within our planet just like any other matter, it may go somewhere else and further contribute to the already uneven distribution of global water resources. By default, water footprints refers to water consumption, but water withdrawal is also a crucial metric and indicates the level of competition and dependence on water resources among different sectors. So there's not just there's the extraction and the water removal of water from the environment in an uneven distribution, because whenever this will happen if you consult like your local waterway or your water conservatory departments, if you have those in your state or your commonwealth, whenever a large corporation or business comes in, like let's say Amazon comes in and buys up thousands of acres of land, and then they start to build their buildings, the airport hangars or storage facilities or parking lots, whatever it is, they're building on these hundreds or thousand acre lands. And what will happen is their water resources that typically go to that area, and that's water drainage, water collection, water runoff in that area, is now impacted. So the surrounding environment is now impacted by that. So what a lot of water conservation organizations do, or why do I keep saying conversations? What a lot of water conservation departments will do is do water mitigation. So when Amazon goes to a specific place and they build on hundreds or thousands of acres of land, they then have to take a portion and give that to the water conservation in that state or county. And then that state or county then takes that money and finds other places in their county or area where they can create a wetland or help in water mitigation, so that whatever was happening on the land that Amazon is now inhabiting is now happening somewhere else, right? And it's called water mitigation. And that assists because it prevents the environment from becoming unstable and prevents the water consumption from becoming lopsided and the runoff, et cetera. So that is now some people will think that, well, hey, that's just a way for them to get money. It might be a way. There might be a lot of money administratively that goes there, but there are some environmental causes and some assistance that needs to be done and placed there. Now, so AI is not only impacting the environment, but AI is impacting the artistic abilities of people and the ability of people to think. They think about this. Now, I'm going to be back in Mayday. Back in Mayday. We used to have to walk to the library to get our research and books. Back in the day, I think 25, 30 years ago, when I was in high school, elementary school, if we had a question, we had to go to the library. It was either the school library or it was the public library. And we researched, we got books, and we read books, and we had to do book reports, etc. All right. Late 90s into the 2000s, obviously the advent or the public release of the internet, where people started having access to all kinds of information. And it became a transference from going to the library, which I still do, and my kids still do too. It's something I love, going to the library. I love physical media. But it transferred from people researching things at the library, reading books, checking things out at the library, to that being done online. And it was a huge convenience. But whereas before, you had to go get microfilm for past newspapers or books or magazines or periodicals that had been logged by the library to search out information, and you learned how to research, you learned how to do your bibliography, you learned how to get your feet wet, to get your hands dirty, digging through data and research and information through books and stacks of resources. Now it became, you type a query into a search engine and you're producing millions of results. And as the internet grew, of course, it became billions and billions of results. So that it switched from being able to access information and research at the library to now accessing and researching information online. So our cognitive ability changed from being able to find the information and seek it out and learn it to now knowing where it's stored. See, and that's a different type of thinking process. It's a different type of thinking process. It's like showing math. You do your math problems. And you take your equation and you work your equation out. You've got your log division, your addition, your subtraction, etc. You do your PEMDAS, all of that stuff. Well, scientific calculators removed that because now you just punch in an equation and it does it for you. So math wasn't necessarily about, because not everybody's going to be a mathematician. Math is not necessarily about teaching you how to do addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division, but it's about teaching you how to think through formulas and processes and arrive at a conclusion and show your work. And there you've been able to think, and it enlivens different parts of your brain and awakens different parts of your consciousness. So you're thinking through stuff and you're getting an answer. You're arriving at a conclusion. It transferred from that type of mentality, research at libraries, physical media, to being able to find that information somewhere online. So we no longer think about researching, reading. We just think about typing in a query, getting something that somebody else has produced and reading it, right? So that changes the way that we think. And now it's changed from researching at libraries with physical media to typing in a search query and having things that are available at your fingertips to typing something into ChatGPT or some type of AI system, a query, and it produces for you a 2,500 word essay. Or it produces for you what it calls, well, it's a picture, but it's a composite drawing. AI is essentially plagiarism. Now, I understand that some people use it for helping them to generate recipes. They use it. I use it here for my show. I have been using it here for my show. Well, when I'm done with my show, I take my transcript and I upload it to AI, and I ask AI to remove all the timestamps from the transcription and then create a synopsis so I can put it on my site so that I don't have to write all of that out. And it is very helpful, but it's also lazy. But don't tell my girls that, though. They might stop listening to the show. But the transference of how we collect and gain information. So now when you type a query into AI, it does all the work for you. It can produce the bibliography for you. It can write it. It stores your name, your hobbies, your questions, your thoughts. And then it creates a piece, an article, a blog post, a research, quotey fingers, paper in your voice. And pretty soon it's going to be indescribable. It's going to be indistinguishable from humans to that. It impacts the way you think. It impacts the way that you acquire knowledge and information. And then it impacts the way you communicate that information. So that there is in all of this a detrimental impact to us as humans. It's a detrimental impact to our environment, and it is a detrimental impact to jobs. There is an article, and this is where I started. This is where I wanted to get to a while back when I first started on my diatribe there. This is an article from, where are we going here? Go ahead and kill that because I've already talked about that stuff. You're listening to the Aaron Barker Show. Thanks for staying with us. Over here, we have some comments. I'm going to do a pop-out chat over here. And while I'm looking for this other article, I'll read some of this stuff here. We've got Space Hippie. We've got Gifted Guru, Space Hippie Deb hanging out with us over on Rumble. We've got, I believe, some folks hanging out with us on Facebook over there too. And looking at, we've got YouTube as well as D Live. So very happy that folks are staying with us on there. I think I'm live on D Live. I'm pretty sure I'm live on D Live. Yeah, it looks like I'm live on D Live. Anyway, and we've also got some folks over on Vocal as well. Appreciate that. Where did it go? I had this article, and the article was about AI and people talking about the technological impacts. So anyway, here, so Space Hippie says over on Rumble, she says, I watched a WWE style Ultimate Smackdown with Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers, and it was hilarious. Deb said she loves going to her new library, and it's just like using GPS over reading actual maps to get where you are going. How many kids can use a map? That's a great point. You know, I used to drive a truck. I was a delivery truck, and this was back, let's see, I drove the delivery truck back in like 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. And I had a portable satellite radio that I would take, and then it would hang on my air conditioning vent, and then I had to run the antenna outside with a magnet and stick the magnet on top of the truck, and that was the receiver part of it, right? So I would take my satellite radio with me every day and listen to all kinds of stuff all over the place. But one thing I did not have was a GPS system, and I did not have a phone with any kind of mapping system on it as well. But in every single truck that the company had, there were atlases. And we covered, my territory was 3 states. So I was, the territories the trucks covered was 3 states, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana. And my route was in Indiana. So I had I had an atlas in there that I used all the time, and a map for the area that I was in Indiana. And I had to use it. There were several times I had to pull out that atlas, figure out where I was, and determine where to go because we didn't have GPS. And there was nobody you could stop and ask questions to. And then you just got to, as you were out there, you got to know the roads, obviously, because you're driving them every day. But we had to dig through that. But that's such a great point, Deb, because it goes from using maps to using Google Maps and just following directions. Turn left, turn right, GPS systems, whatever it is. Turn left here, turn right there. And although you're getting to the place, can you stop and think, how do I get out of here? How did I get here? So that, yes, it is a transference of knowledge and the cognitive thinking abilities of people, and how we arrive at conclusions and how we think through things. Oh man, where is that? Here it is, right here. All right. Embrace the AI agent decade, but double down on your humanity. It says here that this is from Steve Brown. Futurist and author Steve Brown says that's how you remain relevant in workplaces of the future. Now, my daughter had college day at her school this past week, and there was a person who came in there that worked for a tech company, and Bree was really excited because she was like, hey, I've talked to this person in the past. I think they're going to be anti-AI. They're going to help us learn how to get jobs in technology that's outside of AI. But this person, unfortunately, evidently had changed their tune, because when they got there, all they talked about were the benefits of AI and how you could use AI and how it was great, and how if you really want to have a tech job, you have to learn how to use it. And some bosses now are, rather than giving you several days to complete something, they're like, why didn't you do this faster? You have access to AI. Creation of websites, creation of video games, creation of code for specific apps and things along those lines. I mean, like, you can go online and apply for a mortgage using AI. You can create an app using AI. I mean, there are so many things that is AI. I use a system. I don't think it's not the same as ChatGPT. I don't think it's necessarily AI driven. I don't think it is, but it's a clipping platform where I take my videos and I put them into this clipping platform, and it clips the videos for me. Now that is one of those things that unfortunately removes a job that somebody could be doing, because they could be taking those videos and they could be clipping them and writing out the subtitles and putting all that stuff on there. I mean, the videos that you see, the majority of them are using AI to capture your subtitles. So there's so many jobs that people are losing, and so many jobs are being taken away from folks. And I liken it almost to back in the day when it switched from studios using actual instrumentation from artists and using a keyboard for a drum set, or using a drum machine, or looping something, or creating a track. And although that isn't specifically AI, it is AI-esque in that it's using technology, and that technology is replacing somebody who could be doing something. So here on this article, it says Steve Brown, his resume includes 2 years with Google's DeepMind AI research lab, plus 25 years with Intel. He says his advice for people looking to stay employable in an era of artificial intelligence, software, and robots: focus on their unique human capabilities. Put another way, double down on your humanity. He says here, that's how you remain relevant in the workplaces of the future. The futurist and author shared advice on succeeding as a worker and as a business owner in what he calls the decade of AI agents during a talk at the 2025 Exchange Next Gen conference hosted by CRN parent, the Channel Company. He says, let's see, Marisol Velez, founder and CEO of New York-based Expertex, a member of CRN's 2025 MSP 500, told CRN in an interview that he is collaborating with another company, Hub Advanced Networks in Puerto Rico, to launch a program that leverages agenetic AI. Now, agenetic AI is AI that can autonomously perform complex or multi-step tasks by using its own reasoning. Really? Can it have its own reasoning? It uses its own reasoning and execution abilities to achieve a high-level goal. It says here, the program called Secure Bonded Internet allows ISPs and MSPs to connect and collaborate on outages. AI is enabling Velez and his company to take their coding capabilities to the next level. You can go from an idea to application so much faster today because of AI. So Steve Brown left DeepMind in 2022 as a strategic planner and in-house futurist, reporting to the chief business officer. At DeepMind, Brown led a cross-company effort to build vision, ideate strategy, and develop over 100 breakthrough use cases. Let's see. He says here that in his talk at Exchange, he said he sees spatial AI, which can perceive objects in 3D space, and agenetic AI, software that can reason, take actions on behalf of the user, break platforms down into smaller steps to solve, as technologies that will shape the way we do business, the way that we live our lives in the next 3 to 4 years. AI is as bad today as it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better and more capable from here. Humans will look to agents to offload manual and tedious tasks for completion in parallel to more satisfying work, leaving agents to scour the web, for example, while the human does something else. Agents can handle work outside business hours, and they don't get sick or get paid. I mean, does it get any more dystopian than that? Does it get any more dystopian than that? Does it get any more Age of Ultron than that? I mean, they're using AI and tech to make decisions in defense strategy in the government. They're using AI to pull out information and extract templates and data that is supposed to create domestic terrorists or label people as domestic terrorists. And they're removing that because the human element is gone. When you have to strike, I don't know, like a wedding in another country, AI will look at that and be like, the target's there, collateral damage, nil, pow. And they'll kill citizens, men, women, children, innocent people, all to get one target. Why? Because AI's goal, its own reasoning is, they're all evil anyway. They're all going to grow up to be terrorists anyway. Just not. Actually, wait a second. That's how a lot of neocons think. Maybe that's why military AI thinks that way. Now, there are benefits to AI. I understand that. But overall, we're being dehumanized. AI doesn't get sick. AI doesn't get paid. AI doesn't need time off. AI doesn't need maternity leave. AI doesn't need a vacation. AI doesn't need. Humans need. You don't have to worry about insurance when it comes to AI. You don't have to worry about benefits when it comes to AI. You don't have to worry about whiny, complaining employees when it comes to AI. You don't have to worry about somebody trying to snipe your job when it comes to AI or take away your shares when it comes to AI. So why not just use AI? So this guy's advice, focus on your unique human abilities, double down on your humanity. What does that even mean? If he says double down on your humanity, we're not going to use AI anymore. We're going to be focusing on organic ideas and organic generation and organic coders, organic idea ingenuity. No, he continues to work with these AI companies, and he continues to work with them. All right, folks. Let's see what else we've got on the docket. I'm going to take a quick break here. When I get back, I do want to jump into the mass surveillance and the government psyop that's being perpetrated against us. So stay right here with me. I will be back and really looking forward to hanging out with y'all. Don't forget, while I step away here, go ahead and share the show. Smash that like button for me if you're on wherever you're listening to the show. If you're on Rumble or Vocal or Facebook or YouTube, smash that like and share button for me, and that way everybody else will know and they can join, and we can have a fantastic time together here on the program. I will be right back.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including Lindell TV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to Lindell TV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thanks for staying with us, and thank you for your patience there. I was just doing my own liking and sharing of the show as well, and making sure that people know about the program, and grateful to all of those who are staying with me and having these great conversations as we endeavor to educate ourselves about the nature of humanity, about what's going on in the world, and the necessity of thinking on our own, thinking through the circumstances and the situations, and ensuring that we have all of the information and that we are not relying on somebody else to think for us, or even technology to think for us. All right, let's get into this here. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, and I've been thinking about this for quite some time. And it was kind of shocking, because I started doing a voice memo and I'm starting to do this more often, because now when you do a voice memo on your phone, about, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, something like that, I did a voice memo and Bree transcribed it. It was like 11 minutes and she transcribed the entire thing for me. Now on voice memos on the phone, you can take you can speak into it, and then it creates a transcript. So I started creating a transcript, or I started creating a, what do you call it? I started doing a voice memo, and then the transcript, I was going to take the transcript and write a piece about it. And one of the things I was talking about was that Donald Trump is the psyop. He is the distraction. He is what is pulling our attention away from what's actually going on in the background. And then I went on Twitter, or X, and somebody had posted that exact same thing, and I'm trying to find it, because it was, to me, it was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, here it is right here. I'm going to pull this up for you real quick so you can see this. Fine, getting it right here. There we go. It's by somebody by the name of Patriotic Blonde, and now it has disappeared on me. But anyway, the tweet says, "Patriots, I have come to a conclusion. Trump is not suddenly incompetent. Trump is not simply misguided. Trump is not being too trusting of the wrong people. Trump is not being poorly advised. Trump was a psyop. We fell for it. One world government incoming." And this is, there is so much truth in that statement. Because and I voted for him 3 times. The third time I voted for him was because I wanted RFK. I wanted RFK. I wanted to vote for RFK. And he was actually on the ballot in Kentucky, and I was excited. I was actually going to vote for him, even though he had dropped out of the race by the time that he got to Kentucky. By the time the election got here, I should say, he had dropped out of it. But I was going to still vote for him because I wanted him to be the president, and I was going to stand up for my convictions and say that I want it. But instead, because he had asked people because he had asked people to vote for Donald Trump and to put their support behind Donald Trump, I decided that I was going to respectfully listen to that, and decided that I would be able to cast my vote for him and have a relatively clean conscience, because that's how bad I wanted him. And also, we received a bunch of promises from Donald Trump about how he was going to put RFK in a position of leadership. And I was grateful for that. I'm going to have to fix this here real quick. Producing the show at the same time is a pain in the Bataco region, just so you all know. I had somebody tell me they were going to produce the show for me, and then they got mad at me, deleted me on Facebook because of a post that I had made that they didn't like, and now I lost the producer, so I don't have them anymore. I'm playing the sympathy card now. So let me get this. Totally professional here, folks. Totally professional here. So I want to respect this person enough to show their work on the show. And you can follow the Patriotic Blonde. It's a very easy, very easy way to find her. Just go search for the Patriotic Blonde, but it's at I am Breck Worsham. IMBRECKWORSHAM is the excuse me, is the Twitter handle. So it says here, there we go. Bam, finally. Patriots, I've come to a conclusion. Trump is not suddenly incompetent. Trump is not simply misguided. Trump is not just being too trusting of the wrong people. Trump is not being poorly advised. Trump was a psyop. We fell for it. One world government incoming. That had 7.8 million views, 4,900 comments, 4,200 retweets, 2,500 saves, 32,000 likes. And one of my favorites, one of the first comments, somebody said, "You're an idiot, Y-O-U-R," and the Patriotic Blonde simply commented back, "It's spelled Y-O-U''R-E. Those are the best. Now, what is... Oh. That scared me. So what is the proof? Well, the thing I'm going to talk about most today regarding this is how so many people are all about immigration, strong borders. But at this point, what we are seeing is not a strong border. We're not seeing. We're not seeing just an attack for the against the undocumented immigrants. What we're seeing is an attack against the American people, because it never was about immigration. It was never about immigration. It was about control, and it was about mass surveillance, and it was about ensuring that we were constantly being traced, tracked, monitored, watched. And all of that was used. The guise of immigration was used to lure people in, because we want strong borders. We want safe borders. People who are illegal or breaking the law, when they come here, they should be punished for breaking the law, because that's what we do. We're a nation of laws. And although there is some truth and validity to that statement, we all, unfortunately, fell for the fact that it was just about that. So let's talk about this. Let's open this up so we can have some evidence to back this up here. ICE, which is unconstitutionally working within states, ICE, which has no constitutional authority, it has no constitutional backing, it has no constitutional right to do what it's doing. It has only been empowered by the deep state to become goons and go into states and apprehend people. This is a story from Dissent in Bloom, a post that is on Substack. And here's the post on Substack. She says, it was never about immigration, not MS-13, not bad hombres, not protecting Americans. There was never an invasion, just a storyline, a scare tactic. Some of us called it what it was from the start. Others are starting to open their eyes. Now, I do take umbrage with the fact that when she says here it was not an invasion, because I do believe that there is, and I talked about this last week with the La Reconquista, that there is a certain amount of people within that are trying to flood the borders with millions of undocumented immigrants and then get the laws in those states changed to be sympathetic to them and to change our voting and then to impact the culture and get people in office that will change to eventually cede back the southwestern United States to Mexico. Now, I mean, that is something that I genuinely believe is happening. But she goes on here. She says, We were told it was about safety, that this year's billions of dollars handed to DHS, the Palantir contracts, the nonstop executive orders, all being done in the name of protecting us. We were even told that it was all a matter of national security, and while they repeated that phrase over and over, they built something else entirely. A surveillance system that monitors your social media, tracks your bank transactions, and uses artificial intelligence to decide who should be investigated, detained, or quietly removed. The pattern is older than any of us reading this today, starting with a scapegoat. Build the system, then turn it on the people. That moment has arrived. As a result, we've seen teachers and school children get caught in tear gas thrown by DH agents in front of elementary schools in Chicago. Kids disappeared into hotel rooms and office buildings that double as secret detention sites. One man was wrongly imprisoned for 40 years, and he was released when he was targeted for deportation. Autistic migrant children like Emmanuel are being kidnapped from their parents. Human beings, including unclothed children, are loaded like cargo into U-Haul trucks in Knott and Nebel-style ICE raids. Men are being killed in front of their child's daycare. Men are being boxed in, approached with guns, and glass from car windows is being broken over newborn babies. These aren't hypotheticals. They're real stories. They're clickable links. Read them, and you can read them if you go to the Substack. It says, after Nazi Germany, survivors reported they would only go home in the day because night meant raids. The darkness wasn't rest. It was when names disappeared from the registry and neighborhoods pretended not to hear. DHS is using AI algorithms to scan social media search engines and financial records and flag anyone that the government feels is a threat. From those criticizing foreign policy and anyone who criticized Charlie Kirk, 3 unions are suing for it now. So ICE agents lose ability to spy on immigrants' payments to family back home. So after The Intercept exposed, this is from The Intercept, after The Intercept exposed how immigration agents surveil wire transfers, Arizona AG Chris Mays cut off some of their access, which is great. I'll show you this article as well. Let's go ahead and pull this up real quick. Pull up these 2 articles here. Okay. Now I will show you the article. Well, eventually I'll show you the article in just a second. Here we go. Immigrants pay payments to family back home after The Intercept exposed how immigration agents unveil wire transfers. Arizona AG Chris Mays cut off some of their access. I do not know what's going on here today, folks, but my Chrome keeps blowing up on me. It like I'm using my Chrome browser here, and every now and then it'll just straight up disappear. It'll just go away, and I'm not quite sure why it's doing that. All right, so here we go. So the other article that I have here, he tweeted, Charlie Kirk won't be remembered as a hero. The State Department revoked his visa. Nota Beloy is one of several people who lost a visa to visit the U.S. because he spoke ill of Charlie Kirk on social media. Yeah, we this has been something that's been happening quite a bit. The conversations that we've been talking about surrounding freedom of speech. People are not allowed to say anything negative about Charlie Kirk because if you speak negative about him, if you don't mourn him enough, well, then we're just going to make sure that your visa's revoked. We're just going to make sure that you get sent back to your country and make sure you lose your job because freedom of speech, right? Because we love freedom of speech because it's so great and grand. All right. Continuing in the article from Substack, it says here that the result of this, workers and dissidents with visas are being flagged for deportation by automated systems powered by AI. Now, here is the danger. All of this is being built around immigrants and illegals, immigrants and undocumented, immigrants and criminals. That's how this is being painted. This is how it's being presented to you by the Trump administration and by Homan and by the people within the neocon party. They're trying to freak you out, trying to scare you, and trying to make this an us against them, that if we don't change this, if we don't fix this, if we don't do something about this, they're going to take over the country. And again, I talked about this last week with the La Reconquista. However, all of this is eventually, if we are not careful, going to be turned against the American citizens. How do you know that? And if this is the presidential action designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. This is an executive order. We've all seen this, and everybody out there, or many people out there, are like, oh yes, they're a terrorist organization. Let's shut Antifa down. Antifa's horrible. They're terrible. We don't want anything to do with Antifa. So this executive order saying that Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization, calling them a militarist, anarchist enterprise that explicitly calls for the overthrow of the United States government, law enforcement authorities, and our system of law. It uses illegal means to organize and execute a campaign of violence and terrorism nationwide to accomplish these goals. What is the other one? The other one is countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. Now, this is a scary one here. This is a presidential memorandum. In this, countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence, look at what they consider political violence. Oh, it disappeared on me, so I got to find it here. Hold on a second. It says here that there are common recurrent motivations inducing indicia, uniting this pattern of violent and terroristic activities under the umbrella of self-described anti-fascism. These movements portray foundational American principles, e.g. support for law enforcement and border control. Since when is it a foundational American principle for me to support law enforcement and border control? And then in what context are you making that statement? What context are you saying that? And in what way do I have to, so that you don't think that I'm a domestic terrorist, support law enforcement and border control? Because if you're stating that I have to support people that bust in with no-knock warrants in the middle of the night on somebody's house at the wrong address and kill an innocent woman as supporting supporting law enforcement, I do not support that as law enforcement. If you think that I believe that raids, that I have to, as an American, believe that raids in the middle of the night against U.S. citizens and detaining U.S. citizens and underage children and rounding up unclothed kids and putting people in detention centers is somehow American, and that's what border control is, then no, I'm not that. And I'm probably going to get monitored by AI for this right now. But you cannot equate American principles with supporting wholeheartedly and whole cloth law enforcement and any of the efforts by border control or ICE. I refuse that premise. They say that these movements portray foundational American principles, support for law enforcement and border control, as fascist to justify and encourage acts of violent revolution. This anti-fascist lie has become the organized rallying cry by using domestic terrorists to wage a violent assault against democratic institutions, constitutional rights, and fundamental American liberties. I believe it was Donald Trump who, in regards to flag burning, said, "We took the freedom of speech away, even though the Supreme Court, it was very close in the Supreme Court. And it said that it was free speech, but I really like free speech, probably the best free speech ever. I'm free speeching all the time because free speech is great, except for when I don't like it." So Trump is the one who says, we took the freedom of speech away, but they blame anti-fascism or Antifa as taking away constitutional rights and fundamental American liberties. Common threads animating this violent conduct include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity. Support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, race, and gender, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family, religion, and morality. So if you support LGBTQIA, if you support transgender people, if you love them, if you show them the love of Jesus, that's anti-Christian, that's anti-American. How are we watching this as patriotic Americans and thinking that it's okay? How are we looking at this executive order and not I want to draw on all of my libertarian, conservative Christian friends. And I want us to hearken back 15 years ago when Obama was taking office and we were all freaking out because martial law was coming, because they were stripping rights, because he was bombing people in foreign countries. American citizens, killing American citizens in foreign countries with drone strikes. He was one of the worst in regards to freedom of the press. And yet, for some reason, we laud the fact that the Pentagon is controlling what somebody is allowed to report. How is this good? How is this constitutional? How is this American? You are the fa in the Antifa. I'm not Antifa. I don't claim any connection to them. But the PSYOP Trump administration, the Trump PSYOP, is the fa in the Antifa when you read these types of executive orders. I have to support law enforcement. I have to support border control. I cannot have views that he considers extreme when it comes to race and gender. I can't be angry at someone who wants to take away my free speech or my property rights. I can't be mad at someone who tries to restrict freedom of the press or who demands that I give them my driver's license or show them my papers when they demand it. For some reason, that's against Trump's world order here. You know, the New World Order, it's the Trump world order. Continuing here, as described in the order of September 22nd. Now, this, just to remind you, this is different. Here is the Antifa, designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. This is a different one, countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. This is a different executive order. So not only has he called out and said that Antifa is terrorists, but he's saying that if you have extremist views on race and gender, if you're mad at people because they want to take away someone's right to get married, if you're mad at somebody because they want to take away your free speech, well, you're anti-American. I'm genuinely asking for people who are watching and listening to this and people who will listen to the podcast and the replay. I'm genuinely asking, does this not freak the hell out of you? Do you not see this and realize that if any other president besides Donald Trump was putting out these executive orders, you would be shitting your britches right now? Like, am I the only? I'm not the only person. I'm not the only person that considers myself a conservative libertarian, a Christian, to look at this and be like, what the crap is happening? I didn't self-censor myself there because of something I was told last night about that being goofy or dumb or something like that. But regardless, what the crap? Are you honestly thinking that this is American values to deem these organizations as terrorist organizations and just call them and then just list what you think they are doing as terroristic? Because this is a building block. This is a stepping stone. There are additional measures that are going to be taken because it's not going to stop here. Continuing this with this executive order so we can finish this up and move on to the next thing that's going to freak you out, because this has been going on again since the 50 years. Surveillance technology, NSA, CIA, FBI. Even though the CIA is not allowed to operate on the United States soil, they still conduct their operations here, and they're being sent to other countries. Oh, that's actually what their requirement is. They can't do anything here in the U.S. They say they can't do anything here in the U.S. Whether or not they do it, I don't believe that they don't do it. But here, anyway, back to this, because this has been going on for a long time, and it's not just Trump. And for those people out there that want to comment on this and they want to say, well, you weren't saying nothing about Obama when he's doing this. You didn't say nothing about Biden when he was doing this. You didn't say nothing about Bush when he was doing this. Actually, derp, I was. But back when Trump was president, it was a pencil microphone that ran into Brian Jackson's computer, and we were recording on MP3s, and we ended up putting them on discs, and I think he still has them, but nothing. And I was a neocon then, but nothing was happening with those videos or with those MP3s. But I have been. If you've been listening to the show, I've been doing this for 14 years. 14 years. Except for a blip where I was super Trump, when I was like a super Trump supporter back in 2016. Yeah, there was about a blip there that I wish I could Thanos snap out of my videos and stuff, but I'm not going to. I don't delete my videos. I don't delete my podcasts. I don't delete my articles. The only reason you won't be able to find, like if you see memories or something like that, or if you go tear through my Facebook or my Twitter or anything like that, my old social media profiles, the only reason that you'll find broken links there is because I moved websites or providers and shifted and changed and put things places, and sometimes they didn't carry over. But there are hundreds of hours and 14 years of broadcasting that, yes, I have talked about all of this stuff. So it's not just Trump derangement syndrome. We got, friggin' Sling Blade out there telling me that I have Trump derangement syndrome. All the while, their rights are being stripped away. I'm warning them they're walking off a cliff, and I'm the idiot for some reason. But I digress. I got to put the arms of this chair down because it's hurting my back. I got to give myself some support and take a drink from my Art the Clown cup. By the way, next week is Halloween, and my daughter and I are doing, it's me and my daughter, I'm going to try to use proper grammar. My daughter, her boyfriend, and I are going as a group costume. I got roped into this because last year she didn't have her boyfriend, and we were supposed to do Ninja Turtles this year. I was supposed to be Shredder, and I think she was going to be April or Karai, which I think Karai would be better because that's Shredder's daughter. But like, I would love, I'd be Shredder because Shredder is the best, and then she can be Karai. But this year, things were changed. So the three of us, she is going to, why is the name escaping me? Oh my gosh. Somebody in the chat. Sorry, I've got to find, because Mavis. Yeah. So from Hotel Transylvania, she's going to be Mavis. Her boyfriend is going to be Johnny. And I am going to be Drac. And I'm not going to try to do the voice because I haven't practiced it yet, and I don't want to do it and sound stupid. However, where the three of us are going to go. So Halloween, I thought about that because the Terrifier movies. Somebody, I think Bree asked me last week, Allison and Bree were talking about, they were like, what's your favorite Halloween movie? Well, my favorite Halloween movie is Terrifier 2. And my favorite Christmas movie is Terrifier 3. But David Howard Thornton, if you don't follow him on Facebook, that bro's got some solid stuff. We probably wouldn't agree with everything, but we agree on a lot. But he's the guy who plays Art the Clown from Terrifier. And the girls, my daughters and Allison, bought this for me last year. Oh, it looks like it's my head. They bought this for me for Christmas last year. This is great. And I'm taking a moment to talk about this. I'm killing some time because they're mowing the lawn, and it's happening right outside my window. And when I clip this later, I don't want the lawnmower to be heard on social media, so I'm killing a few minutes of time here. All right, folks, real quick, we got 5 people with us hanging out over on Rumble. Let's see if we can get that number kicked up. And when I refresh the page over there, of course, it gives me an ICE advertisement. I wish there was some way to control that so that they would not be able to run their ICE ads over my videos on Rumble, but I know I have no control over that. We are also on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, don't forget to like and share the show. If you're on DLive as well, don't forget to like and share the show too. And we would be happy to, nope, I want to open the image. Let's see if I can just go here. I want to make sure, I don't know if anybody is watching the streams from the chat over there. I just want to make sure that if I go to DLive that I am actually live. because I have not been live over there in a while. It looks like we are live over on DLive. Awesome. Sorry, I haven't gone live over there in a while, and we used to go live over there every week. So let's get back here to this executive order, because these are dangerous executive orders. We're putting together the pieces, we're connecting the dots, and I think it's more obvious now than it ever has been that this is the executive order, a separate executive order than the one that declares Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. But it says here, as described in the order of September 22nd, 25, designating Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, the groups and entities that perpetuate this extremism have created a movement that embraces and elevates violence to achieve policy outcomes, including justifying additional assassinations. For example, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassination engraved the for example, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin engraved bullets used in the murder with so-called anti-fascist rhetoric. And they're still buying that lie. They're still pushing that lie that Charlie Kirk's assassin is some type of Antifa trans terrorist. I mean, it boggles my mind. I guarantee you. Now, so we had another shooting. So we had the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Then we had the school shooting where the guy also engraved anti-fascist stuff on the bullets. I guarantee you that's going to fall off real fast, and we're not going to see any more of that because people in the United States are like, "What are you doing?" Like it's obvious. Like before we knew you were doing this. Now it's like, duh. Everybody knows that the FBI and the government are writing those on there. It says here the United States requires a national strategy to investigate and disrupt networks, entities, and organizations that foment political violence so that law enforcement can intervene in criminal conspiracies before they result in political acts. Through this comprehensive strategy, law enforcement will disband and uproot networks, entities, and organizations that promote organized violence, violent intimidation, conspiracies against riots, and other efforts to disrupt the functioning of a democratic society. Investigating domestic terrorist organizations, the National Joint Terrorism Task Force and its local offices, collectively JTTFs, shall coordinate and supervise a comprehensive national strategy to investigate, prosecute, and disrupt entities and individuals engaged in acts of political violence and intimidation designed to suppress lawful political activity or obstruct the rule of law. Now, people will look at that, and they'll say, yeah, what's wrong with that, Barker? What's wrong with that? Oh, if you got nothing to hide, you got no problem with them. I have everything to hide. Everything to hide. It's my privacy. And how are they going to get this information to investigate you without a search warrant? How are they going to get this information as a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights? How are they going to obtain this information? I don't know if you remember this. You probably, a lot of folks out there, again, this is a very astute audience, and I was trying to find this one before I went on air. But there is a back in 2008, there was a document released by the Missouri Information Analysis Center, and there are two of these documents. One of them I thought I saved, and I'm trying to find it. And the other one, has redacted some information, and I need to find the other one. But this is the MIAC Strategic Report, and the MIAC Strategic Report is from the Missouri Information Analysis Center. It says that this strategic report analyzes the anarchist movement and related anarchist activities. The majority of this information is open source. It can be located in many anarchy-related websites. Recipients are reminded that this document is a strategic report. The information therein should not serve as the basis for further investigative activity. So then it goes through anarchy and what that means. I had found it's really bugging me because in this one it lists multiple anarchic movements: anarcho-masculinism, anarcho-feminism, anarcho-capitalism, anarcho-syndicalism, anarcho-primitivism, green anarchism, Christian anarchism, the belief that there is only one source of authority. Now listen to this. As we're going through this, we see the first one here, the anarcho-feminism. Radical feminism supports the belief that the patriarchy is a fundamental problem in our society. Down with the patriarchy is a modern movement right now. People talk about it all the time. Down with the patriarchy, down with the Christian patriarchy. Anarcho-communism or libertarian communism is a political ideology related to libertarian socialism. Anarcho-communism stresses the abolition of money and the introduction of the gift economy. And anarcho-syndicalism, the anarchist right wing of the labor union movement. Its primary aim is to end the wage system. Anarcho-primitivism is an anarchist critique of the origins and progress of civilization. Green anarchism puts an emphasis on environmental issues. Some green anarchists can be described as anarcho-primitivists. So it goes through all of those. And the Republicans and the conservatives and the right wing are like, yeah, get those enviro wackos and fem Nazis out of here. We don't need them commies in America. Let me just scroll down a little bit more here. Christian anarchism is the belief that there is only one source of authority to which Christians are ultimately answerable, the authority of God as embodied in the teachings of Jesus. Christian anarchists feel that earthly authority, such as government or the established church, do not and should not have power over them. Christian anarchists are pacifists. Oh my gosh, the dangerous, oh my word, no. Christian anarchists are pacifists and oppose the use of all physical force, both proactive and reactive. Christian anarchists have opposed war and other statist aggression through the nonviolent tax resistance. Many Christian anarchists are vegetarian or vegan. So you have to watch out for, this is essentially like Christianity as it was supposed to be. I mean, like, we're not supposed to be loving war. We're not supposed to be wanting to go to war. We're not supposed to want to bomb boats without due process. We're not supposed to want to round up people without due process. But here is the MIAC report telling us that those people are considered extremists and dangerous. There are other reports, and this is why it's so important. Cop Watch is on here. This is why it's so important. I'm trying to find that one. I honestly, and I feel, because I ran out of time right before the show, I had saved it. I thought I had saved a copy of it, but evidently I did not save a copy of it. And it was, if you support Chuck Baldwin, Ron Paul, have a Gadsden flag, fly an upside down American flag, then you're considered, if you know your Constitution or carry around a pocket Constitution, or you talk about your rights, that's also considered terrorism. And that's why it's making me so angry that I cannot find that one. I promise you that I have, here it is. Wait, did I find it? Yes! Woohoo! Ha-ha! Found it. Hold on a second here. Let me get it up here. Let me pull this article up real quick for us. Now, this, just so you see, this is the original copy. I'm gonna share it over here. MIAC Strategic Report, Modern Militia Movement. This is the original copy. This is that's a thing on the Pentagon. Nope, that's under the Bush administration. That's for authority and use. Trying to find it here. Sorry, I used to, where did it go? I literally, there it is right there. Nope, that's the one I just had. Okay, so here is, come on. Sorry, folks. Here is the copy, that the sanitized version of this. How pretty it is, and how it's in really, really pretty. It stops down there. It's about 5 pages long. Here is the facsimile copy of this. And I need to make sure that you all can see it. That's what I did. Reduce the size. There we go. Pretty copy. Facsimile copy. Pretty. Facsimile. Now, as you scroll through here, essentially the same information, although it talks here about the militia post September 11th, 2001. Gives you a map of the divided states. This is 8 pages long, by the way. Shows you the North American Union, which people who believed in the North American Union, now this is another thing. Conspiracy theorists claim that this union would link Canada, the United States, and Mexico. The NAU would unify its monetary system and trade dollar for the Amero. Associated with this theory is concern over NAFTA, over a NAFTA superhighway, which would fast-track trade between 3 nations. There's additional concern that the NAU would open up the border, causing security risks and free movement for immigrants. But down here on this page, this is the page. The political paraphernalia that you should be looking for. Militia members most commonly associate with third-party political groups. It is not uncommon for militia members to display Constitutional Party, Campaign for Liberty, or libertarian material. These members are usually supporters of former presidential candidate Ron Paul, Chuck Baldwin, and Bob Barr. Anti-government propaganda. Militia members commonly display picture, cartoons, bumper stickers that contain anti-government rhetoric. Most of this material will depict the FRS, IRS, FBI, ATF, CIA, UN, law enforcement, and the New World Order in a derogatory manner. Heaven forbid that I talk about the UN or the New World Order in a derogatory manner. How terrible is that of me? How un-American is it of me to talk about the United Nations or the New World Order in a derogatory manner? Well, I must be a domestic terrorist. Militia symbols. Gadsden flag, otherwise known as the Don't Tread on Me flag. Hutari militia. The first BN 3rd BDE MO militia patch. The sovereign citizen flag usually displays the sovereign citizens in order to represent sovereign common law jurisdiction. That is the flag with the white background on the stars, the white background and blue stars with the vertical stripes, and the American flag with the blue background and the stars. I think I'm going to change my logo now. You see the logo, the Aaron Barker show down there? I think I'm going to change that to the vertical stripes. It's about to get real up in here. People who have the Greek phrase molon labe, which means come and take it, or over my dead body phrase, originated during the Spartan and Persian battle. The upside down flag. The militia uses this as a symbol of a nation in distress. 9 stripes of the Sons of Liberty. First Navy Jack Continental Navy flag. And here's where it gets further interesting. Zeitgeist the movie, which is anti-Federal Reserve. America, Freedom to Fascism. That's by Aaron, man, why can't I remember his last name? He's passed away. Aaron Russo. America, Freedom to Fascism, an anti-income tax film by Aaron Russo. The Turner Diaries, a novel that depicts the violent revolution of the United States government in war that leaves only a white population. Well, of course, that's pretty crappy. But you can see here, I'm not making this stuff up. Like people will look at this and they'll be like, oh, well, Trump is targeting illegal immigrants. He's targeting, people that are here in our nation that's breaking the law. No, see, Trump is the psyop. He's the front man. He's the con man. He's the guy that distracts you. But all the while you're displaying your Gadsden flag, while you're talking about how the LGBTQ community should have rights, while you're saying that you have different ideas regarding gender, while you say that you're not for organized religion, while you have your Sons of Liberty flag, or your Molon Labe, or your Second Amendment rights, or you talk about the Constitution, or you have a pocket Constitution, or you have your... Sorry, I'm looking for the Constitution part in here. While you talk about the Constitution, while you carry the pocket Constitution, while you know your rights if a police officer tries to unjustly get your driver's license or have you ID yourself, well, you're a domestic terrorist. If you don't support law enforcement 100%, if you don't think ICE is doing the right thing, we're going to investigate you. We're going to find you. See, this is all a collection. So I don't want you to think. I want you to stop, and I want you to I want you to hear what I'm saying here. I am not, in 14 years of broadcast history for me, I am not saying Trump is the only one and that a Democrat in office or a liberal in office is going to fix everything. Because the Democrats and Republicans and liberals and conservatives that have come before Donald Trump have done the same thing. This is not me against Trump and me against Trumpers. This is me on the side of the Constitution, me on the side of free speech, and on the side of a free press, and on the side of freedom of expression, and on the side of our Second Amendment rights, and on the side of our Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights, on the side of nullification, on the side of the Ninth and 10th Amendments. This is me on the side of the Constitution, and everybody else on the other side needs to get an understanding of what's happening here. It is a collective move from the deep state, the Illuminati, the conspiracy, whatever you want to call it. It is a collected and concerted effort to come after you, to come after your kids, to come after your livelihood, to come after your jobs, your businesses, your homes, to tax the hell out of you until you die, to lay carbon credits on you because you're breathing, to take away your right to marry whom you want to take away your right to worship whom you want to. They want to take away your right to get married, take away your right to worship. They want to take away your right to spend money where you want. They want to take away your right to travel by restricting you in 15-minute cities. And when I say they, I say anybody on the other side of the Constitution. This isn't about Trump derangement syndrome. And anybody who accuses you of having Trump derangement syndrome, they have Constitution derangement syndrome because they don't understand the dangers that are facing us, not from Trump, or not just from Trump, but from his administration, from the Biden administration, from the Obama administration, from the Bush administration, from the Clinton administration, from the Bush administration, from the kind of Reagan administration, from the Carter administration. I mean, like, just keep going back and back and back. You are not free. And that's why we have to keep fighting. You're listening to the Aaron Barker Show. I am on Rumble. I'm on Vocal as well. Vocal is the one I'm going to push, and I'm going to push it hard. Because Vocal it's a free speech platform broadcasting over there right now. Just go to vocl.com, search for @RealAaronBarker. You can also follow me on Rumble by simply going to Rumble. Hey, look at this. The Mind of Zoe. I'm not sure who that is, but looks like we got a new listener over here. The Mind of Zoe. Smack the like button like it owes you money. Amen. Thank you very much for that. And so you can watch on Rumble, you can watch on Vocal, you can watch on YouTube and Facebook and DLive, all of those places streaming, whichever platform you're on. Feel free to comment, give your information. Comment about what you want to comment on, share the show, like it, etc. Be grateful for that. And also another way, if I may very quickly, just show you, if you go to mypillow.com, click on the coffee place, the coffee link, you're going to you're going to be able to order this coffee. If you use the promo code Barker, you can get a subscription to this and 50% off on the coffee and have it delivered to you. This coffee is amazing. It is amazing. It is the best coffee I've had in a long, long time. I still have other favorites. I'm not forgetting about you other favorite coffees, but this coffee right now is my prime favorite. You can get 50% off. Actually, you can get a huge discount and with a subscription and using the promo code Barker by going over there. Also, as mentioned previously, I have towels that work right here from My Pillow, saving this for a very special occasion, which is going to be my annual shower. No, I'm saving these for a special occasion, which is why I haven't unwrapped those in the last few weeks. Towels that work, you can get a 6-pack right now. Just go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code Barker. Now, mystore.com is also a collection of small businesses that Mike Lindell is platforming to be able to sell their products. But if you go to mystore.com, you can use the promo code Barker over there as well. It also supports the show and supports Mike Lindell's efforts for clean integrity in our elections. Paper ballots hand counted, not just paper ballots hand counted. You support that process as well. I'm going to take a quick breather here, and I shall be right back with more of this programming.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including Lindell TV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to Lindell TV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
That's right, folks. Aaron Barker Show, broadcasting live on Saturdays. Vocal, YouTube, Facebook, D Live. All over the place. Grateful y'all are here. Thank you so much for staying with us during that little break there. Much appreciated. I am sorry. I was telling y'all earlier, for some reason, I had a bunch of issues with my browser today. I had, for some reason, it would just crash. And here it is. I'm trying to find that right there. Trying to find the show prep that I had over here. I had two of them open. We got the show prep with the articles that I save, and then I got my show prep on the actual Google Doc that I utilize as well. Let me kill that. Oh, I shouldn't say those words. I'll get banned. Okay. I might just have to open up a completely new. There's that. There it is right here. Bam, Bammo, El Bammo. Let me get to this. Now, I have a couple other things I wanted to talk about here. Wanted to bring this up and talk about this as well. I know we've been spending a lot of time. When you only do a show once a week, when you get to it, you're like, I got to hit them with everything I got. So I am going to make sure that I cover as much of this as I can, especially since my daughter sent me this story the other day. Both of my daughters send me stories for this, but for my show and show prep and stuff, I want to make sure that I get this talked about. Now I got to find it. That's that one. That's Antifa. That's a Coast Guard video. I just can't find it. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move it right there to that window. We're going to close that up right there. Okay. So this is from, and it's always a great feeling, by the way, when my daughter, my oldest daughter, she's becoming more politically astute. She's starting to pay a lot more attention to things that are going on around her. And her ideas are radically different from some of her upbringing, but I encourage that. My wife and I have always we've tried to guide, we've tried to give direction, we've tried to help out. With our personal convictions and our faith tradition. So we tried to raise our girls with that, and we've given them a foundation, I believe, a solid theological, biblical foundation. They can hold their own when it comes to a biblical debate, which is amazing. I couldn't do that at their age. Bree is writing papers for school and being, extolled by her teachers on how excellent her papers are written. Michaela is standing up for her rights and speaking out against injustice. And I think it's incredible. And I'm so proud of them. So when Michaela, a few weeks ago, she reached out to me, she was like, hey, you had told me in the past, there are a couple of websites that you go to, and that have a very kind of libertarian or like middle of the road, like they're very fair. She was like, can you send those to me? And I was like, yeah, here you go. So I sent her reason.com and I sent her Straight Arrow News. And I found one recently that I forgot the name of, but it's an app on my phone. But it's always a great day when your kids reach out to you and they're like, hey, can you provide this for me? And I'm like, heck yeah, I can. Absolutely believe I can do that. So when they send me news stories and stuff, like Michaela sent me something the other day. I was like, so are you, what's your stance on this? Like, why are you sending this to me? And she was like, I just want to give you show prep. And I was like, or content. And I'm like, I could cry. It made me feel so good that my daughter was thinking about me like that. And this bothers me, though. It's not straight. Okay. Just go ahead and tighten that right there. Oh, that's why I did that, because it falls if I don't. Okay. There we go. Okay. So back to what I was saying here. And I want to make sure that I cover this because this is one of the things that Michaela sent to me the other day. ICE is mounting a mass surveillance campaign on American citizens. Without strict oversight, the agency's new technology threatens Americans' free speech and privacy. While a federal judge scrutinizes the constitutionality of tactics used by federal immigration authorities during ongoing protests in Chicago, these same agencies are quietly amassing behind-the-scenes surveillance technology. Originally slated to target undocumented immigrants, the technology is now being used to investigate protesters of President Donald Trump's mass deportation campaign. Backed by funding from One Big Beautiful Bill Act, passed in July, Immigration and Customs Enforcement has entered into contracts with companies to provide surveillance capabilities like facial recognition algorithms, iris scanning identification app, controversial spyware on smartphones, and real-time smartphone location and social media tracking systems. Hey, look at that. That is weird. Did you just see that? I clicked through that advertisement there, the skip ad, and it was for Straight Arrow News. They're watching me while I'm talking about them watching me. Creepy. There it is right there, Straight Arrow News. Look at that. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to stop freaking out. Backed by funding from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed in July, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, has entered into contracts with companies to provide surveillance capabilities like facial recognition algorithms, iris scanning identification app, controversial spyware on smartphones, real-time smartphone location, social media tracking systems. In September alone, ICE racked up $1.4 billion in new surveillance technology contracts, the highest in at least 18 years, according to the Washington Post. These contracts are in addition to any privately owned surveillance networks to which ICE has access. Flock Safety, for example, has allowed ICE to access over 80,000 of its AI-powered license plate reader cameras installed nationwide, according to 404 Media. You can go to a website that has specific states that detail where these cameras are located. And they use, under the guise, of course, you're always going to hear, what if your child is abducted and you need to find that person's license plate? Wouldn't it be great if they were in this grid area and we could track their license plate and find them? Yeah. How often does that happen? Statistically, how often does that happen? And what are those cameras that read license plates doing between abductions? You got to justify your costs somehow. You know, Allison and I were talking, and this is a really neat, I think that, I think this is going to be something they move to as well. We're going to move a lot of electric vehicles, obviously, a lot of self-manned, self-automated, self-driving vehicles. But I wonder, and we kind of, Allison and I kind of collectively came up with this idea, so I'm going to give her credit as well. License plates on vehicles will become digital. And when they become digital, that means that you can, but when a cop is driving and a cop pulls up behind you at a traffic light, if he's not paying attention or he's just kind of in there drinking his coffee, eating his donut, whatever it is that he's doing in the car, and sees your license plate in front of him, maybe the tag is expired. But what if you had a digital license plate? And it was like here in Kentucky, it's, you know, typically you can just, the standard license plate is Unbridled Spirit. I think it's like a white background with blue letters and numbers, blue writing on it. What if that's digital? And when you maybe have not updated your tags, it goes to like a bright red or bright orange or bright yellow color, or it flashes if it senses a cop pulls up behind you. Now, they'll sell that under the guise of you being able to renew your tags easily by an app. Just go to the app, pay your tags, bam, it's taken care of. But what happens if that is digital and it alerts police officers behind you or in front of you somehow? Like when it gets into like each police car will have a small geofencing area. And when a car pulls around it, that maybe have illegal tags, or maybe they're driving on, maybe the driver has a bench warrant, or maybe they're driving on an expired license. It somehow lets them know that the driver is breaking the law, and then they pull over. Now, it could maybe a specific law, or it could just be, hey, I'm going to search your car because I have probable cause because of whatever. Maybe the license plate can't be swapped to put on another vehicle because it'll automatically detect it's not the right vehicle. And they can shut your vehicle down if you don't pay your tags, or if you have an expired license, or if you have DUIs, or if they, rather than issuing the Amber Alerts, if your license plate is digital, they can just locate where your car is and shut the vehicle off. That's interesting, isn't it? Just throwing that out there as an idea, the digital and I'll say, I want to say it's a prediction. That way, if it comes true, I'm like, see, look, we predicted that when it happened. We called it on this day, on October 25th, 2025. I'm not a prophet. I just wonder about these things like most common sense Americans do. Digitally, we're going to, when you move everything to a digital platform, it's so much easier to track you. Voting is going to be through apps. Renewing your tags is going to be through apps. Sorry, the camera just told me that I can add effects using hand gestures, and that's weird. I didn't even know I had that on. Is that watching and recording me? Anyway, when everything gets moved to digital platforms, obviously they can control that. You shut it down, turn it on. I mean, the smart meters in homes, we've seen that. They regulated temperatures where, during blackout or brownout sessions, or when you're using your AC too much, your carbon footprint is getting too long. You use that as their excuse to curtail your usage of your AC units at your homes. They're going to use the digital platforms to prevent people from driving on a legal license. All the while, because of La Reconquista, they're going to make sure that no-name driver's licenses are going to continue to be issued. And those, you're not going to worry about them, officers. Just don't worry about them. Just let them go. And temporary IDs are going to be used for voting, but nobody at these polling places are going to know how to determine between a temporary ID or an undocumented immigrant ID. Anyway, back to ICE contracts. These contracts, in addition to any privately owned surveillance networks to which ICE has access. Flock Safety, for example, has allowed ICE to access over 80,000 of its AI-powered license plate reader cameras installed nationwide, according to 404 Media. The expansive and growing mass surveillance camera network captures the license plate number, make, model, and any distinctive feature of all passing vehicles, making it possible to track cars and, by extension, drivers without a warrant. Why do you need a warrant? Trump's already said you're a domestic terrorist. Maybe on that digital ID that you have, maybe on that digital license plate on your car, whenever you drive through one of these locations here, one of these cameras that take your make, model, and features of your vehicles, maybe it's gonna run that plate, and with facial recognition says, "Oh, that's Aaron Barker. He doesn't support 100% what law enforcement does. He doesn't agree with what ICE is doing. He disagrees with the Don. He has a pocket constitution. He has a Gadsden flag on his car. He stands up for the constitutional rights. He believes in free speech." Well, we're going to have to stop that guy because he's a domestic terrorist. This is all happening in front of our eyes, and it's not just happening to undocumented immigrants. It's not just happening to liberals. It's not just happening to anti-fascists or Antifa. It's happening to you as an American citizen. It's going to continue to happen because you're not going to say anything about it. Well, the astute listeners and intelligent listeners of this program and other folks out there that I see starting to wake up, they're going to listen and they're going to do something about it, but other folks out there, not so much, because it's easy to go and vote for the Don. Although ICE has sold its surveillance campaign as necessary to locating and deporting undocumented immigrations, the Trump administration has signaled that the technologies will also be used on American citizens. So this is where it takes it out of the realm of conspiracy theory and out of the realm of Barker is a nutbag to here's your proof. In September, Trump signed an executive order designating Antifa a domestic terrorist organization and signaled that federal agencies, including ICE, should devote resources to investigating the network. Todd Lyons, acting director of ICE, told Glenn Beck during an interview shortly after the executive order was signed that the agency would track the money, ringleaders, and professional agitators who are being brought in from outside the Chicago area to protest against immigration enforcement. But whether from Chicago or elsewhere, protester or domestic terrorist, constitutional rights and limitations still apply, although adherence to federal agencies is being questioned. And now that was not the quote from the guy from ICE. That was a quote from Reason.com. Whether from Chicago or elsewhere, protester or domestic terrorist, constitutional rights and limitations still apply. Critics of mass surveillance have long warned that intrusive technology could be used to violate Americans' privacy rights. We don't know if any law enforcement or ICE are getting search warrants to deploy this spyware, Maria Villegas Bravo, counsel for the Electronic Privacy Information Center, told the Post. It's also a First Amendment issue because your phone contains all your communications, all your expressions. It has your contact lists. It has all your social media. Any political organizations people do, she continued, is typically on social media now or over the phone. And that's another thing that they'll be able to do with a digital license plate. You have digital tags on your car, and it's going to be able to pull up a social media credit score, a social media profile. With AI recognition, it's going to be able to search and scrape the internet and find everything about you. So when a police officer pulls you over for maybe having expired tags, now he's going to be like, so on Facebook, you said that law enforcement were pigs. Evidently on Facebook, you don't support ICE? Step out of the car. Oh, you don't want to step out of the car? Well, I'm just going to pull my weapon then. See? It was happening to young black men. And we were like, and white people were like, well, if you get pulled over, make sure you turn on your interior light. Keep your hands on your steering wheel. Don't make any sudden movements. You've got nothing to hide, remember. I wonder if that same attitude is going to apply when you get pulled over because your Facebook post was anti-Trump or anti-Democrat in the office. Maybe it's anti-Jamie Raskin. I think he's Minnesota, right? It's anti-Andy Bashir. So, hey, I'm going to need you to step out of the car so Kermit Bashir can have a word with you. Maybe you made a Facebook post about how you believe in open borders. No, ICE now, because local law enforcement is working with ICE. They'll just go ahead and turn you over to ICE, let ICE have their way with you. The expansion of tracking and surveillance technology deployed by ICE coincides with the Trump administration's crackdown on services used by the public to share information about federal immigration enforcement. Since early October, the Justice Department has successfully pressured social media platforms, including Meta, Apple, and Google, to remove online groups and apps to share where ICE and immigration agents have been cited. That's another thing right now. People, and people have been jumping my junk over this. I'm going to read that comment here in just a second, Mind of Zoe. If somebody burns an American flag, that is freedom of speech. That's freedom of expression. But somebody says, that's not freedom of speech. That's an action. And you should go to jail. Let's think about that for a minute. What about the woman who stands outside, and this is a legit case, the woman who stands outside of an abortion clinic and prays silently, no picket signs, no pamphlets, no information to hand out, just stands, hands crossed, head bowed, praying, but arrested. Is that a violation of free speech? She wasn't speeching nothing. She weren't saying anything. But she was actively praying. Silently. Silently praying, not out loud. She was praying. Is that a violation of free speech? Is carrying a cross protected under free speech? Because that's an action as well. So if I'm driving down the road and I see a cop, if I'm driving down the road and I see a cop on the side of the road targeting people with their laser, and I blink my lights at the oncoming traffic, just a little flash of my lights. There you go. Cop back there, warning. Some states consider that illegal. And they circumvent your free speech by saying it's an improper use of your lights. Is that an action or is that free speech? Because if burning a flag is protected under free speech, blinking my lights to warn of cops is protected under free speech. Having a website dedicated to masked men, masked ICE agents, masked ICE women agents, whomever, having a website or Facebook page or social media page dedicated to saying, hey, ICE is over here, be careful, that's also protected. We don't have to work with police officers. We don't have to work with ICE. We don't have to lick their boots. Stop thinking you do. Those executive orders saying you have to, bull crap. The article continues here. The courts and public are right to worry about the constitutional violations taking place in plain view by immigration agents during protests and enforcement operations, and officers must be held accountable. But those same actors must also be held responsible for privacy violations that are less obvious happening behind the scenes. Aaron Barker Show, alienating friends and pissing off people since 1981. Where's my chat? What up, chat? Where am I, chat? I just had that chat here. I'm going to pop out the chat again. Just do another pop out chat. Bam, right here we go. All right, over on Rumble. Got a lot of activity on Rumble. Thank you all so much for listening and hanging out with us. Let's see. Just checking all the chat here to make sure that I'm capturing all the information from people. Okay. Oh, we got some other here as well on YouTube. So I'm going to read through some of the chat comments here. And then after I read through some of the chat comments, then we can talk about near-death experiences, which is pretty awesome. Actually, let me transition back here. I just transitioned. Y'all missed it. I transitioned from this to this. There you go. Hold on. Screen capture. Maybe that's why it wasn't working earlier, because I didn't have the... This is Chad from YouTube. I want to get Rumble for... Actually, let me do divided by algorithms over here. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and let them know. All right, so over on YouTube, Divided by Algorithms has made some comments over here. What is going on with this? There we go. I was like, what's going on with my chat window over here on YouTube? It's because not a lot of people have commented over on YouTube. But hey, look at that. It looks like they got like a top fan award or something like that. If I can get to it, where's the chat? I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to worry about showing it. Divided by Algorithms over on YouTube says, if conservatives are so smart, why do they watch 10 times more television than liberals? But you jerks are like a meme that can be interpreted as a political statement and a joke. Now, I welcome the comment and would hope that you're still listening to Divided by Algorithms, because I'd love to know a little bit more about your comment there. Because I would like to know what part of what I said there made you think that I was, I know I said earlier that I would consider myself a conservative libertarian, but definitely not the party talking points that some conservatives have out there. So maybe that's just a bit of a misunderstanding. Maybe I could do a better job of explaining myself. But if you would like to expand on that, I'd greatly appreciate it. And because I'm stubborn, I'm going to make sure that I actually show this comment over here to give Divided by Algorithms his or her fair 15 seconds of fame. There we go. Divided by Algorithms. If conservatives are so smart, why do they watch 10 times more television than liberals? But you jerks are like a meme that can be interpreted as a political statement and a joke. Okay, let's jump over here to the Rumble chat, see what we got going on over here. This is kind of a breather for me. Take a minute to adjust these things here. Where is it now? That's YouTube, mouse surveillance, chalk ball, and that. It should be under Rumble. Like where? Why is it not showing under Rumble? Huh. Hey, here we go. Bam, there we go. Awesome. Let me get to some of these. Mind of Zoe says, screw those other platforms. Rumble's where it's at. Ernest Hertz. What are you talking about, Deb? It says, the roof blend is good stuff. Ernest, are y'all talking about coffee? Is that what that conversation was? Because Deb says, I prefer Ernest Hertz with star anise in it. Mind of Zoe, screw those other platforms. Rumble is where it's at. Hey, man, I like Vocal. Vocal's awesome. I feel like I'm actually friends with Mike Lindell when I'm on Vocal. Let's see. Deb says, insurance companies always want to give you a better rate by giving you this app that will see how you drive, basically government knowing your every move. Yeah, insurance companies do that. They'll give you a little like, I think it plugs into your DLC connector. And when you plug that in, it lets them know how often you speed, what your speed is, hard stops, hard accelerations. It kind of like tracks all of that. And then it's part of their safe driver programs. And if you are safe for a long period of time, or if you have consistently good stats on their app or on that little dongle that you have plugged into your DLC, then they'll reduce your rates. They offered that to me one time. They're like, hey, you can get an additional 10% off or 15% off. I can't remember. I think it was through a like a company that checks all kinds of sites for you. But they were like, hey, yeah, with that you get like a 10% reduction or something like that in your rate if you have this attached to your car. And I was like, no, I don't want to have anything attached to my car like that telling me or talking to me about my speed or what I'm doing, anything like that. I don't want any of that stuff. The Mind of Zoe says, ICE is not playing games. The government never has to justify cost. Yes, and that's absolutely right. But they are playing games. ICE is playing some horribly terrible games. ICE is okay. ICE is unconstitutional. I despise the fact that local law enforcement works with ICE. I do not think ICE has a constitutional permission to operate within the states. And what Trump is doing here is he is requiring that patriotic Americans, or what he considers patriotic Americans, to fall within this category. You have to support what ICE says and what ICE does. You know, it's really interesting because, and I forgot to bring this up, in this executive order that we were going over earlier, that's why there was such a difference there. Okay, so let me go here. I'm going to go back to this. Let me see here where to go. Well, man, I tell you, this gets really confusing. Here it is right there. Okay. So this is the executive order that Donald Trump signed. We were talking about this extensively earlier. And I want to make sure that I cover something real quick here. I'll get back to your comments over there in just a second. Because I think it's very important that I point this out for all of you Constitution-loving patriots out there who are staying with me and watching this. Well, there we go. That's why it wouldn't show me the full picture, because I didn't have the full picture. Okay. So it says here, oh, no, don't want to do that. We have to. So just to let y'all know, the problem that I have here, I've used other streaming platforms before, and the other streaming platforms have excellent integration with certain widgets that allow you to share your screen or share a screen or a window, and then it creates an automatic format. Well, I use OBS because it's a free software, and you have a lot more control over what goes in and what goes out. There are obviously drawbacks, which you all are seeing over the past several weeks. Those drawbacks are I can share a screen, but when I share that screen, every time I share it, I have to resize the window because it's either too large for a news story and it captures stuff, or it's too small for a video I'm playing. So that's what a lot of this fidgeting and stuff is. It's not a lack of preparation. It is the widget that I'm using. But here in this, this is the executive order, the Countering Domestic Terrorism and Organized Political Violence. Down here it says, these movements portray foundational American principles, e.g. support for law enforcement and border patrol, as fascist to justify and encourage acts of violent revolution. This anti-fascist lie has become the organizing rally cry used by domestic terrorists to wage a violent assault against democratic institutions, constitutional rights, and fundamental American liberties. Common threads animating this violent conduct include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity. Oh my goodness, go away. Sorry. Oh, that's a bummer. Common threads animating this violent conduct include anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration, race, and gender, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family, religion, and morality. Just click right here. Just in Congress, July 4th, 1776, unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shewn that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. According to executive order or presidential memorandum, according to the presidential memorandum countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence, the founding fathers would be considered domestic terrorists. And that's some pretty damn good company to be in. You're listening to Aaron Barker. This is the Aaron Barker Show. Going over to our comments here. Let's jump over to the Rumble comments, go back because there's a couple here I want to share, and then I want to jump on over to the near-death experiences. A little bit lighter of a thing before we kick off the show and go home. So here we go. We have, if you go into the mind of Zoe, if you go into bad neighborhoods, where are we over there? The mind of Zoe. If you go into bad neighborhoods a lot, the insurance company is going to charge you more, even with a little discount they give you. The blinking lights is a free speech thing is an interesting debate to have. I don't necessarily agree, the mind of Zoe. I'd love to hear more about that. Gifted Guru says doxing agents isn't free speech. That is why ICE is wearing masks to protect themselves and their family. Bull. I mean, and by the way, I thought about you. Gifted, on the way home last night, and I don't mean that in a perverted way, I wanted to publicly say that you and I disagree on some pretty distinct disagreements, and this is one of them. And you and I have gone back and forth on Facebook, and we've also gone back and forth in private messenger. And I respect you because you're standing up for your convictions, you're willing to have a conversation, and you interact. I love that. I rarely delete comments or unfriend people. Okay? I can name you the one comment I deleted and the one person I deleted this year. That's how few times I do it. But I thought about you, Gifted, because although we have sharp disagreements, I still consider you a brother in Christ. And as far as I'm aware, right now, my voice is being broadcast in your shop. I'm assuming that, but I remember last week you said that, and you used to do that all the time. So even though we disagree on stuff, and even though I say things that you might consider radical, you're still allowing me to be broadcast in your workplace. I think that's incredible, and I love it. So I want to thank you for that. And Gifted, I want to say directly to you, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. And the reason I'm singling you out, not because Deb and Audrey and Mind of Zoe are doing anything less, but I believe that because of our disagreements, it makes me feel even happier. So you're alive in the store. Look at that. You know, it makes me happy because it shows me that you're still willing to have the conversation. And that's the kind of interaction that we need. That's the kind of mutual respect that we need in this country. And the Mind of Zoe, I'm sure we're going to have the same type of interaction here. He says here, the blinking lights as a free speech thing is an interesting debate to have. I don't necessarily agree. If someone is breaking the law by speeding or DUI or something, helping them not get arrested puts other random people in danger. And Curtis here says, bootlicking. And Mind of Zoe says boots are delicious. He also followed up, I'm sure, with my previous comment. The founding fathers were considered domestic terrorists. The crown just uses different language. Yeah, and that's my point. And that's my point. Because now the crown, i.e. no kings. Now the crown, who flies around in a fighter jet and dumps shit all over American citizens. Now the crown is calling those folks domestic terrorists. Now, I remember there was, and this surfaced, I think, sometime between like 05 and 09. There was a video of, I don't think it was a guard training facility. I think it was like a police training facility, something like that. I'm sure somebody out there would be able to find that if they looked hard enough. I'm sure I could too. Where a professor or instructor, it was an instructor because it was some kind of law enforcement or something where they could pew you. But they said that the founding fathers were domestic terrorists. But regardless, it is a different crown. One was a golden crown. One is a golden toupee. I know it's not a toupee. I'm just making a joke. Let's see. Yeah, Gifted, thank you for being live. Deb says, okay, here's one for you, Aaron. Pineapple does not belong on pizza. Deb, you're a domestic terrorist. You're a horrible person, Deb. Why would you bring that up? Pineapple belongs on pizza. It's a legit ingredient. If peppers and onions and they have hamburger pizzas with lettuce and pickles and Thousand Island dressing. They have chicken ranch pizzas. If that stuff goes on there, pineapple goes on pizza. Pineapple goes on pizza. Pineapple goes on pizza. Oh, man. Tell you what, that's rad of you to do that, Deb. It's delicious on pizza. There's a calzone at a local restaurant that has pineapple in it, like pineapple and ham. But the reason I haven't gotten it yet is because when you get a calzone, it's all that bread and it's got cheese. It's all the guts are on the inside, but then you have like a dipping cup with it. Now I love like getting like a meat lovers like that, but I'm like, I don't know if all that bread surrounding the pineapple is good. Okay. Let's see. The mind of Zoe. While I agree with the grievances of the founding fathers, I do not agree with the crazy grievances Antifa has. I would love for you to list the ones that the No Kings Rally or Antifa have with which you disagree. I mean, I think it would be tremendous. While I was reading that a moment ago, I was wondering, I was like, wouldn't it be great if conservatives and libertarians and liberals, I'm sure it's been done out there before, but conservatives and libertarians and liberals and No Kings, if they were to create their own Declaration of Independence, styled document, just create here's our list of grievances against the Trump administration, or here were our list of grievances against Biden or against Obama, et cetera. I think that'd be fantastic. Just a list. That way you could have all of them with clickable links that would provide you with information to show you, yes, there are quite a few usurpations and attacks against our Constitution, liberty and free speech and freedom of living, that those are legitimate concerns to have. So yeah, I mean, if you would love to do, if you would like to do that, Mind, which by the way, forgive me, Mind, if I don't know who you are. I'm sorry. I see that you know everybody else in there, and I appreciate very much you're hanging out in the chat. It makes me very happy. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so Gifted. Hey, Deb, I know you're an admin in here. If you could, and by the way, if anybody's on Facebook, there is an Aaron Barker Show chat. And I'm not sure how you get into the chat, but if anybody here is connected with me or Deb or Audrey or I don't think that Gifted is in there. If any of y'all are connected with one of us, send us a friend request, or if you're not friends, if you are, reach out to us and we'll get you invited into that group chat. But Gifted, Deb, if you don't mind making a note of Gifted here. He has surgery on Wednesday, so we want to make sure we send out our thoughts and prayers for that. And of course, Gifted, definitely going to be praying for you on that. Hope things go well for you. Yeah, Deb, you're going to get me all riled up over that because pineapple belongs on pizza. It's delicious. So yes, taco pizza. Taco pizza. We used to have those in school. They were like the little octagon-shaped pizzas, and we'd have that whenever it was Mexican Pizza Day or Pizza Day. Loved that day. It was awesome. Gifted says, no Kings Rally called for pew-pewing ICE agents. Now, I am not quite sure that you can take an entire rally and all the millions of people that they said were there, which the statistics could be made up. 76% of all statistics are made up on the spot. But I have to be very careful because you take one person or one small group or sect that was in the No Kings Rally and they were calling for violence against people. That doesn't mean everybody does. You look at January 6th, there were some people there that were doing some really violent, stupid things. People were freaking out because of the No Kings Rally. They were like, oh my goodness, they drew gallows. Oh, what about the fact that on January 6th, Patriots actually built gallows and they were calling for Mike Pence to be hanged? I mean, this was to me, to look at those folks who did something like that and then to say you Gifted are crazy. I think that's a complete mischaracterization. It's a hasty generalization. You're taking one small snippet. And I'm not saying that you are doing this. I'm just saying that I saw a lot of footage of these things. I've seen a lot of news coverage on this stuff and from following and everything. But there were those people that were there. I'm not denying that they were there. I would just have to say I don't know if they were all, if it's fair to lump them all in that category. Let's see. So, okay, Mine, this is the first time listening to the show. Oh, man. Well, I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Of course, you encourage people to like it, so I appreciate that. You're still in the chat. Appreciate that. Connect with me on Facebook. Aaron Barker on Facebook. Thanks, Deb, for pinning that. That's awesome. Can you all see that? I think you all can see that. I'm going to have to move that. Deb pinned that at the top there. Thank you so much for doing that, Deb. Gifted or Mind. If you're on Facebook, search for me. I typically accept all friend requests, especially from Saudi princes who want to donate into my work and ministry. Definitely want to have that conversation. Okay. I heard pineapple and bacon is fire. Yeah, you know what? I mean, honestly, unless you're an anarcho-pizzaist domestic terrorist like Deb-estic terrorist, then you're going to have to try pineapple on pizza. I don't know what her hatred is for that. I am on X, yes, at Real Aaron Barker on X. I'm also on Vocal at Real Aaron Barker as well. Vocal, if you go to www.vocl.com, www.vocl.com, you can join there, follow the show, and I'm on there as well. But Real Aaron Barker on Twitter, on X, and on Vocal. So I'm over there, yes. So absolutely, follow me. I'll follow you back. Let's see. It usually comes with bacon or Canadian ham or some type of pork. Because, you know, you make like, let me ask you this, Deb. This is a great question, Deb. Have you ever had a baked ham, with pineapples and cherries on it? Deb, have you? Because if you do, it's essentially the same thing, only you're adding crust. Gosh, I tell you, yet another debate won. Yeah, thank you, Mind. Find me over there on X. Yes, Deb. Fresh pineapple goes on a crispy fish taco with slaw. I love fish tacos like nobody's business. All right, let's jump into this. I know we can't. I'm not sure how much longer you all want to hang out with me, but I'm going to dive into this story here, which I thought was pretty incredible. This was from the Post, the New York Post. It says, near-death experience study reveals the most common visions among survivors, a great light in the distance. We all could have named that. We all could have guessed at a great light. It says, it was one of humanity's most enduring mysteries. What happens when we die? Now a new scientific investigation has taken us a step closer to understanding what may lie beyond the grave, the Daily Mail reported. Researchers interviewed 48 people who had survived near-death experiences, asking them to describe and even sketch what they saw in their final moments. Their findings, published in a paper now awaiting peer review, reveal a wide array of experiences ranging from divine encounters to surreal otherworldly journeys. One recalled, there were stone stairs on the left in front of me, and Jesus was toward the top wearing a white robe. Another said, God appeared as a great light in the distance. Others reported experiences that defied any traditional religious framework. One person claimed to have seen a black hole, while another described a cosmic matrix made up of many grid points, all connecting in multiple dimensions. Sorry, I'm pulling something up here as well. One person claimed to have seen a black hole, while another described a cosmic matrix made up of many grid points, all connecting in multiple dimensions. Another participant described an angel with exquisite white wings, the feathers incredibly detailed, layered onto one another, and a face like that of a Greek god. So pretty much this is what they saw. Lead author Dr. Francis Lerner of the Beijing Institute of Mathematical Sciences and Applications told the Daily Mail that cultural beliefs play a crucial role in shaping what people experience during an NDE. Just a second here. That's not even going to let me do that. So this might explain why some participants reported hearing men read the Torah, while others described Jesus or angelic beings. Despite their diversity, many NDEs shared common themes: tunnels, bright lights, staircases, loved ones, and sometimes cosmic or geometric patterns. Researchers found that these experiences typically occurred in one of four distinct Researchers found that these experiences typically occurred in one of four distinct spatial types. A types involved a narrow tunnel-like vision, possibly linked to reduced blood flow to the brain. B and C shapes occurred in elliptical or arch-like spaces and are likely triggered as half of the visual field is temporarily lost. And C5 shapes, the most complex, occurred within a full 360-degree ellipsoidal enclosure. So the most complex, C5 shapes, the most complex occurred within a full 360-degree ellipsoidal enclosure. People typically progressed from A shape to a C5 shape experience as their NDE progressed, leading researchers to believe that they have the same physical cause. So I wonder about this. A few years ago, and I covered this on the show then. Oh, that's the wrong one. But there was an experience where a person where they were actually able to have a brain scan of a person while they died. And what happened was different parts of the brain shut down, but the part that controlled the beliefs or your memories was still remained bright. So they had talked about how people I want to pull it up. There it is right here. So a man had a brain scan of a brain scan of a dying man suggests life flashes before your eyes upon death. An elderly epilepsy patient unexpectedly died during a brain scan, revealing bursts of activity associated with memory recall, meditation, and dreaming. Doctors took brain scans of an 87-year-old Canadian patient with epilepsy. The team was performing a test that detects electrical activity in the brain called an electroencephalogram to learn more about what was happening during his seizures. The elderly man had an unexpected heart attack and died during the procedure, and in accordance with the patient's do not resuscitate status, the doctors did not attempt any further treatment and the man soon passed away. Because the EEG machine kept running, doctors got a glimpse into the man's brain activity at the end of his life, never before captured on a dying individual. Nobody plans this. It says for roughly 30 seconds before and after the man's heart stopped beating, the scan showed increased activity in parts of the brain associated with memory recall, meditation, and dreaming. Different types of neural oscillations, also called brainwaves, are involved in different brain functions. Researchers recorded both high-frequency gamma oscillations as well as slower frequency theta, delta, alpha, and beta oscillations. Scientists say they were particularly intrigued by the presence of gamma waves, which suggest the man's brain may have been replaying memories from throughout his life. Through generating oscillations involved in memory retrieval, the brain may be playing a last recall. Oh, it skipped on me here. Through generating oscillations involved in memory retrieval, the brain may be playing a last recall of important events just before we die, similar to the ones reported in near-death experiences. The patient's brain activity didn't immediately stop when he was declared dead. Surprisingly, after the heart stops pumping blood into the brain, these oscillations kept going. So what was extremely surprising for us to see, that was extremely surprising. Because this phenomenon has only been observed in a single case so far, Zimmer and his colleagues caution against assuming brain activity is the same for all people upon death. The patient who died had epilepsy, which can alter gamma wave activity. Despite limitations of studying a single case, the results built on a 2013 study in rats that reported similar brain activity patterns before and after death, leading some to speculate that memory recall could be a universal experience of dying mammals. That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. And you wonder about that because as a person is starting to pass away, as they start dying, their brain starts flashing these memories. Now, one of these memories does, because like sometimes people have like, I believe Charlie Kirk knew that he was going to pass. I believe Martin Luther King Jr. knew he was going to pass. I believe people have shared near-death experiences with one another. I've talked to people that have experienced, like across the country, have experienced near-death experiences with someone, like a shared death experience, like a subconscious, almost, what's the word? Almost astral projection with this person as they pass away. It's pretty fascinating how the mind works. So maybe the mind knows this, that, hey, things are shutting down. My time is up. We're going. And it starts firing off these memories. Maybe it starts thinking about all of this stuff. And that's where the light comes from. Maybe the reason that so many people see these of different faith transition or different faith traditions is because it's the brain, the same, regardless of where you are or who you are or what you're doing. Your brain is going to shut down the same way, and it's going to fire the same synapses and have the same information or have the same thoughts, right? Because all brain waves and all brain activity like that, it's all a physiological human thing. So I find this incredibly fascinating, and I'm very intrigued by this because as we are nearing our death, our body starts firing all of these memories and all of this information, and that could be why we're seeing all of these things. All right, folks. I know I tagged that in the line. I hope that the near-death experiences was enough. We talked a lot about mass surveillance on this episode. That was the majority of this episode. But hey, I appreciate the fact that everybody has stayed with me. Let's see. The memories flashing is possibility when you confess your sins before the Lord. So do you think that when you die, mind, do you think that when you die, you have an opportunity to repent and to confess your sins? That's an interesting perspective there. While you're answering that, I just want to say, every great day begins with a great night's sleep, and every great night's sleep begins with a great pillow. And that's why my family and I use MyPillow products. As you know, my friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of their life, and he didn't stop simply by creating the best pillow. He created Giza Dream bed sheets. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. Mike's Giza sheets come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. The first night you sleep on these Giza sheets, you're never going to want to sleep on anything else, except maybe the percale bed sheets, which are over there. But they're actually discontinuing the percale bed sheets. But like you may want to sleep on the Giza and then sleep on the percale. But anyway, Mike's Giza sheets come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. The first night you sleep on the Giza sheets, you will never want to sleep on anything else. Giza Dream sheets come in Giza Dream sheets come in a variety of sizes and colors. Mike's latest incredible deal is a sale of the year. For a limited time, you're going to get a massive discount off the Giza Dream sheets, and you'll receive a set for an amazing price. Just simply go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Barker, and you're going to get the best night's rest of your life. And then while you're there, go ahead and order some My Coffee. Not My Pillow coffee, My Coffee. I told people the other day I was making My Coffee. They're like, oh, you have your own coffee? No, I meant My Coffee. My Coffee. Mike Lindell's My Coffee. Specialty coffee. Go ahead and order a bag or two of these. Get yourself set up on a subscription on these as well. Use the promo code Barker. You're going to save a boatload of money. And gosh, it smells incredible. You're going to save a boatload of money. You're going to have a great subscription, and you're going to help out Mike as he seeks to push for election integrity. Smell that. That smells amazing. You see, I'm almost out. But I'm on a subscription, so it's going to be sent to me soon. Oh, it smells so good. So get yourself My Coffee. Go to mypillow.com. Get yourself the bed sheets, the pillows, the towels, which actually work. So absorbent, so comfortable, so soft. Fantastic stuff. Get yourself the coffee and get yourself the slippers, because those are selling out as well. Go to mypillow.com right now. In the middle of the screen at the top, enter the promo code Barker. There you'll find not only this amazing offer, but also deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including MyPillow mattress toppers, MyPillow towel sets, and so much more. Or you can call 800-892-6955. That's 800-892-6955. 6955. Use the promo code Barker. Go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use that promo code Barker. These are made in the USA, 60-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty, machine washable and dryable, patented interlocking fill for the pillows. They stay cool. They will not go flat. Promo code Barker, 800-892-6955. Your best night's sleep is just a few moments away. All right, let's hit these comments here as we keep popping these comments up. You don't like maraschino cherries either? Dude, who are you, Deb? Who are you? You belong on that anti-cherry list. You belong on that Antifa domestic terrorist list. Deb says, I think we are given an opportunity by the grace of God. So you're talking about once we die, we get that. The Mind of Zoe says, possibly. I don't know when it is, I don't know when it's a possibility. I think that's what he's trying to say. But he says, to my question, is there an opportunity to repent after you die? He says, not an opportunity. It's a mandate. It's going to happen when we die. I don't know you have a chance to repent after death, but we will all be judged. Deb thinks we have another chance to repent after death. That's interesting. This is an interesting one. Part of this faith journey I've been on is the study of universalism and whether or not it's called universal reconciliation, where at the end Christ reconciles all things to himself. So in the belief or the doctrine of ultimate reconciliation is that the earth, all of the inhabitants of the earth, the cosmos, the animals, trees, plants, waterways, everything will be ultimately reconciled to Christ. Because in Adam, one man dies. In Christ, all men are made alive. And God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself. So some people take that to believe that in this reconciliation, there is eventually, after some type of purification, maybe like a purgatory type instance, but you see this in 1 Corinthians where it talks about our works will be burned up and all the negative works will be burned up and all the good works will be saved. Well, this is a great opportunity to use a tool here that I got this week. Pull this up here. I am pulling up pull this up real quick for you. I got this week, I told you all a while back that I had gotten a new study Bible. But I ended up returning the study Bible, not because I disagreed with it, but because it was a lot of money that I'd spent on it. It was almost $30, and I wasn't using it near as much as I wanted to, but I was able to come across a digital copy of that, and I was able to save that on Kindle. So I'm pulling it up on Kindle because it is the SBL Study Bible, New Revised Standard Version, Updated Edition. And let's see, 1 Corinthians 3:13. That's not right. Where am I in this right here? Oh, I was in chapter 4. That's why I wasn't there. Okay, so in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, it says, starting in verse 10, and according to the grace of God given to me, you know what, I'm going to share this screen too. Y'all are being super patient with me today as I am trying to find out. as I'm learning all this stuff. That's that. Wallpaper, no. Coast Guard, that's all Chrome. Don't want to show you my texts. Oh, you know what? I think it would be screen capture. Oh, no, not that one. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. Fish tacos are amazing. I guess I'll just have to go to window. Yeah, oh, there it is right there. Bam. Oh, sweet. I was able to do this. So I was able to get this on Kindle this week. So I will pop this up next to me. Bam, right here. And I will turn the chat off for now. There we go. Okay. So 1 Corinthians down here, it says, according to the grace of God given to me, like a wise master builder, I laid a foundation. This is the Apostle Paul talking. I laid a foundation. Why is it still? Oh, I didn't transition that. I got a transition. There we go. According to the grace of God given to me, like a wise master builder, I laid a foundation and someone else is building on it. Let each builder choose with care how to build on it. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one that has been laid. That foundation is Jesus Christ. Now, if anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, the work of each builder will become visible, for the day will disclose it. That's talking about Judgment Day. For the day will disclose it, because it will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test what sort of work each has done. If the work that someone has built on the foundation survives, the builder will receive a wage. If the work is burned up, the builder will suffer loss. The builder will be saved, but only as through fire. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? If anyone destroys God's temple, God will destroy that person, for God's temple is holy and you are that temple. But here when it says, if the work that someone has built on the foundation survives, the builder will receive a wage. So fire is going to be poured out. I'm going to highlight that. Can I highlight it? Yeah, I can highlight that in orange. Let's go orange. Yeah. So fire is what will determine this. The work of each builder will become visible. So Paul is saying, I laid the foundation. The foundation is Jesus Christ. Everybody built upon it, and it's going to be either wood, hay, straw, stubble, etc. All of those different things. The foundation that you have is Christ. If you build on that with gold, silver, and precious stones, which are good works, those will live through the fire, and that will be the reward. But if you build upon that foundation wood, hay, or straw, that burns up in a fire. And all of those are your works done without glorifying God, or works done for selfish ambition or selfish gain. So that becomes what burns up. But what remains is the foundation. Great passage of Scripture when it comes to eternal security. But another thing that people look at with this particular passage is, does that mean that we're all going to undergo some type of purification? How long does it take to be burned up for the sin of unaliving someone? Or the sin of theft? You know, what is the amount of time which we're not given here? It could just be a day, because on that day it happens. Now, we in our minds, we crave justice. So to us, it would be like, it sounds unjust if a person that is a horrible, terrible, let's say Art the Clown or Jason Voorhees were real people. I mean, well, like, don't even have to do that. Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy. I mean, think about those guys standing before God on Judgment Day. They go through a period of instantaneous perfection, and then they're entered into heaven. Is that just? Or is that just us just thinking that it's just or unjust? Whose idea of justice are we building upon? Whose idea of justice are we holding on to? Because that says a lot about us as whether or not whether or not we impart into the scriptures a specific idea of justice, or whether or not we extract from scripture a specific idea of justice. But then overall, some people get offended when they hear that mass unalivers are going to go to heaven. So when you think about that, Deb, and Deb and Joe, you brought up some really good points here. Deb says, not after death, when we are fizzling out of life. So you're saying that, so Deb is saying that not necessarily when you die, but if you're slowly passing, maybe you have another opportunity to. And you think about the people who are instantaneously like crushed in a car accident. Let's see. Mind of Zoe says, Deb, theoretically, Hitler could be in heaven right now if he repented after the suicide pill. Or Mao or Pol Pot or whatever godless POS you want to put in there. And that is the part there, mind, that people have the biggest problem with. And as I research universalism and universal reconciliation, there's a part of me in the back of my mind who says, well, that passage in 1 Corinthians makes me feel much better about this idea, because at least there's going to be some suffering. At least there's going to be some penalty. At least there's going to be some pain for what was caused. But then I think, is that God's grace? Am I speaking with a renewed, gracious heart where I want somebody to be in pain for something that they've done? I'm not necessarily saying I think it's wrong to want somebody to suffer for that, but is it right? So this is it. I mean, this conversation, I really enjoy having this conversation, and I would have encouraged you. This is the one, by the way, that I had purchased, and I showed this to you all. But this is what the cover looks like. The New Revised Standard Version, updated edition, the SBL Study Bible. It has the Apocryphal and Deuterocanonical books in it. It gives a lot of great introductions as well. And the SBL stands for Society of Biblical Literature. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that's what it stands for. Not that it really matters. This is all the books there. Yeah, so here are all the books that are included in this. So you've got, obviously, these are in alphabetical order, but you've got all your books of the Old Testament, all your books of the New Testament, all your apocryphal books, and then other deuterocanonical works that are great for history, great for information. The Mind of Zoe, I do not want anyone to suffer. That's not up to me. I want whatever Jesus decides is right. I hate the sin, not the sinner. Absolutely. All those are fantastic points. And, you know, and honestly, that's where I come from as well. You know, when people are rejoicing that folks like Saddam Hussein were offed, I didn't rejoice over that. I don't want anybody to die. And at that time, especially anybody who believed in Jesus Christ, didn't believe in Jesus Christ. But that's what happens. All right, folks, look, today I've had a great time with y'all. Whether or not it was a great show that's totally up to y'all. But don't forget, you can check out the show by going to Vocal. You can also, you can check out the show by going to Vocal. That's VOCL.com and search for Real Aaron Barker. You can find me on X, Facebook, Truth, Getter, Gab, Brighteon, all over the place. You can find me there. But anyway, you can find me on Rumble. Don't forget to like and share the show. Tell everybody about the show that you can. And Gifted, the Moffat Bible. I have to look into that. Thank you, sir. All right, folks. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be posting some stuff throughout the week. Looking for y'all to jump on there and have some great conversations. And then if I don't talk to you before then, I will see you next Saturday. Go to Vocal, go to Rumble, go to YouTube, Facebook, X, all over the place. Share the show. Tell everybody about it. Go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code. Buy the coffee and the towels. And until next time, have a great weekend, everybody. And thank you all so much for staying with me.